Chapter 3202. Thank you indeed. Temple Master Bai Xing had given the order, but Jian Wushuang could enter the Blood Wave world no matter how the battle ended. But Duan Lang, if he lost to Jian Wushuang in this battle, not only could he not enter the Blood Wave realm, but he would also be punished by Temple Master Bai Xing. The thought of Temple Master Bai Xing's punishment made people shudder. Did Heavenly Sword Marquis admit defeat on purpose? Fei Shui could not help asking. Sort of. Of course, before he admitted defeat, he also used his strongest sword move to prove to everyone that he indeed had the strength to enter the Blood Wave realm. This saved Temple Master Bai Xing's face and helped Duan Lang. It was a win-win situation. Qian Hongzi smiled indifferently. Heavenly Sword Marquis is quite smart. Hearing this, Fei Shui had a strange expression. While Fei Shui and Qian Hongzi were discussing why Jian Wushuang admitted defeat, the 10 principals masters around them were shocked by the move Jian Wushuang had just made. Did you see that move clearly? Of course we saw it clearly. It's the time-space stagnation and the heaven-designated skill. How did Heavenly Sword Marquis merge the heaven-designated skill into his own swordsmanship? How did he do it? He integrated the space-time divine skill with his own swordsmanship? My God. The principal's masters found it unbelievable. This was normal because even Temple Master Bai Xing and Ba Tsang were shocked when they saw Jian Wushuang's battle for the first time and knew that Jian Wushuang had integrated the heaven-designated skill into his own swordsmanship, let alone them. I've been in the Temporal Temple for a long time, but I've never heard of anyone who could integrate the space-time divine skill into his own unique skill. This Heavenly Sword Marquis is really a genius. That's true, but he has such powerful and terrifying swordsmanship. Logically, he should be able to compete with Duan Lang, but he actually admitted defeat? Why did he admit defeat? Who knows? The principal's masters were chatting casually. Although they did not know the reason, since Jian Wushuang had admitted defeat, the battle would naturally end. Heavenly Sword Marquis. Temple Master Bai Xing's figure flashed and appeared on the battlefield. She glanced at Jian Wushuang with her sharp eyes. Jian Wushuang's heart trembled. He smiled awkwardly and said, Temple Master Bai Xing, I did try my best, but I really couldn't find a way to defeat Duan Lang, so I had to admit defeat. Jian Wushuang said so on the surface, but in fact only he knew that he had held back in this battle. After all, he had never used his domain-type supreme treasure. He had never used some of his trump cards such as the Mountain River Map and the 6 Paths Reincarnation secret skill. However, these trump cards were all his trump cards. He would only use them if he had to fight with his life on the line. Now that he was only sparring with Duan Lang and had a place to enter the Blood Wave realm, there was no need for him to fight so hard. Of course, even if he did not use his trump cards, he might still be able to defeat Duan Lang. However, he did not want to continue fighting because Duan Lang's strength had won his respect. Even my shadowless escape art is useless in front of him. Although I can severely injure him with my Blood Azura sword with many secret skills, his spear skills are extremely terrifying. Apart from Blood Azura, I can't fight him with other sword skills. Duan Lang is so strong and talented. It would be a pity if he doesn't go to the Blood Wave realm, Jian Wushuang thought. Temple Master Bai Xing only took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. She did not know if she had seen through his thoughts. Of course, she did not blame Jian Wushuang. Instead, she looked at Duan Lang. Duan Lang, it seems that my previous decision was too arbitrary. I didn't expect you to cultivate the Black Devil secret skill to the profound realm in the Saint realm. With the help of the Black Devil realm, your strength is no less than that of an ordinary invincible saint. With such strength, you can naturally enter the Blood Wave realm, Temple Master Bai Xing said coldly. According to what I said before, since you have defeated the Heavenly Sword Marquis, I will naturally get you a place to enter the Blood Wave realm. As for the punishment, there will naturally be no more. During this period of time, all of you should prepare well. Alright, everyone disperse. Temple Master Bai Xing spoke, and his figure directly disappeared from the drill ground. The principal's masters on the drill ground looked at each other in dismay and then left one by one. When they left, they more or less glanced at Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang, feeling somewhat shocked. They were first shocked that Duan Lang could cultivate the Black Devil secret skill to the profound realm, but they were even more shocked that Jian Wushuang could not only master the shadowless escape skill but also integrate the heaven-designated skill into his own sword skill. This was incredible. After everyone left, Heavenly Sword Marquis, Duan Lang came to Jian Wushuang with a complicated expression. After a while he said solemnly, "Thank you for today. I Duan Lang owe you a favor." "Owe me a favor?" Jian Wushuang laughed. "Don't misunderstand. I'm not sure I can defeat you. But I'm not sure I can defeat you either. If we continue to fight, who knows who will win? You didn't continue to fight with me. Instead, you just admitted defeat. Naturally, you helped me, Duanlang said. Jian Wushuang shrugged and did not argue. Heavenly Sword Marquis, it's rare to meet an opponent like you. How about you and I have a drink? Duanlang said. Sure. Jian Wushuang nodded happily. Qin Hongzi, Fei Xue, you two come too. Duanlang glanced at the two people not far away. Haha, then we won't be polite. Qin Hongzi and Fei Xue also agreed readily. In the center of a huge courtyard, 4 figures sat together under a tilted tree. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'm afraid you still know them. Let me introduce them to you. This is Qin Hongzi and this is Fei Xue. Like us, they will enter the Blood Wave realm to explore. Duanlang said. Jian Wushuang nodded to Qin Hongzi and Fei Xue. Although it was his first time seeing them, he had heard of them before. Haha, brother Heavenly Marquis, I've heard of you more than 300 years ago. At that time, you hadn't come to the Time-Space Island, but your reputation is amazing. Qin Hongzi laughed heartily. Indeed. To kill a rank 7 true saint in a head-on fight as a rank 4 true saint, I'm afraid no one else in the Divine Beginning realm has the ability except you, brother Heavenly Marquis, Fei Xue said with a smile. Chapter 3203, Opportunities in the Blood Wave realm _. Under the tilted tree, Jian Wushuang was talking with Qin Hongzi, Duanlang and Fei Xue with great enthusiasm. Brother Heavenly Marquis, I see that your divine power and aura are only at the rank 6 true saint, right? Qin Hongzi suddenly asked. That's right. Jian Wushuang nodded. A rank 6 true saint has almost the same battle strength as an invincible saint. His ability to cross ranks. Qin Hongzi, Duanlang and Fei Xue looked at each other, not knowing what to think. The 3 of them were the top immortal saints in the Temporal Temple, and all of them were extremely talented. However, compared to Jian Wushuang, the gap was not small. A rank 6 true saint is already so powerful. If you break through to rank 7 true saint, your battle strength will be even stronger. At that time, among the immortal saints in the Temporal Temple, only Di Hao can compete with you, Qin Hongzi said. Duanlang and Fei Xue also nodded. Speaking of Di Hao, why aren't he and Yu here? Jian Wushuang asked. Besides Jian Wushuang, Qin Hongzi, and Fei Xue, there were 2 others on the list given by Temple Master Bai Xing. They were Di Hao and Yu. In terms of strength, Di Hao was widely recognized as the strongest. He was not only an invincible saint but also one of the top ones. Even among the immortal saints in the Divine Beginning realm, there were only a few who could match him. Di Hao is a cultivation maniac. He keeps to himself and doesn't care about the outside world. As for Yu, he has been wandering in the outside world and hasn't come back yet, Fei Xue said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. Brother Heavenly Marquis, don't worry. You'll see them when the Blood Wave realm opens in a while. At that time, we'll have to work together to find the opportunity in the Blood Wave realm, Duanlang said with a smile. Opportunity? Jian Wushuang gave a strange smile. To be honest, although I've got a place to enter the Blood Wave realm and fought with brother Duanlang just now, I still don't know what kind of opportunity there is in the Blood Wave realm. Why is it so attractive that so many top-level, peak-level, and even invincible immortal saints want to enter it so badly? You don't know. Qin Hongzi and the other 2 were stunned. Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly. He really did not know. Temple Master Bai Xing had told him that there was a great opportunity in the Blood Wave realm, which was enough to make almost all the immortal saints go crazy, but he did not know what it was. Brother Heavenly Marquis, let me tell you. Duanlang became serious. The Blood Wave realm indeed contains an opportunity that can make all the immortal saints go crazy, and this opportunity is the Blood Wave Palace. Blood Wave Palace? What's that? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. It's a large palace in the center of the Blood Wave realm. It was left behind by the founder of the Blood Wave realm. However, no one seems to know who founded the Blood Wave realm. It's a fact that there are great opportunities in the Blood Wave Palace. As for the specific opportunities, there are many rumors in the outside world, but few of them are credible. However, there's one thing. Almost all the immortal saints who can enter the Blood Wave Palace have broken through to become Principal's Masters after they come out of the Blood Wave Palace, Duanlang said. What? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Almost all the immortal saints who entered the Blood Wave Temple would become Principal's Masters after coming out? Brother Duanlang, what you said is too vague. What is the specific ratio? Jian Wushuang asked. I said almost, so it's impossible for them to become Principal's Masters. But, take the last 1,000,000 years as an example. In the last 1,000,000 years, the Blood Wave realm opened 10 times, and countless top-notch saints entered each time. After a fierce competition, only 10 people successfully entered the Blood Wave Temple. In total, 100 top-notch immortal saints entered the Blood Wave Temple. Among the 100 top immortal saints, only one failed to become a Principal's Master. The other 99 became Principal's Masters after they left the Blood Wave Temple, Duanlang said solemnly. How is that possible? Jian Wushuang was completely shocked. The Blood Wave realm had been opened 10 times, and a total of 100 top immortal saints had entered it. In the end, 99 of them became Principal's Masters, but only one failed to break through? What kind of concept was this? Did this not mean that as long as they entered the Blood Wave Palace, 99% of them would break through and become Principal's Masters? Principal's Masters, that was a lofty existence in the divine beginning realm. Principal's Masters had completely grasped a set of principles, and they also had the power of will. Their strength far surpassed that of the immortal saints. The divine beginning realm was born to the extreme, and it had given birth to countless geniuses and evildoers. These geniuses and evildoers were mostly able to cross realms to challenge others. However, crossing realms was at most able to cross realms at the level of true saints. However, it was almost impossible to challenge the Principal's Master at the true saint realm. Since ancient times, among the many geniuses and monsters born in the divine beginning realm, only 2 or 3 of them could fight against the Principal's Master at the immortal saint realm. From this, one could see the gap between them. Naturally, many immortal saints in the divine beginning realm yearned to cross this threshold and become the Principal's Master. However, the Principal's Master step was extremely difficult. It was not something that could be crossed just like that. There were many powerful immortal saints in the divine beginning realm, but they had not taken this step for countless years. In the Blood Wave realm, as long as one could enter the Blood Wave realm, 99% of them could become a Principal's Master. It was no wonder that countless top immortal saints in the divine beginning realm were so crazy about such an incredible opportunity. They were so desperate to enter the Blood Wave realm. How many immortal saints could resist such an incredible opportunity? Brother Heavenly Marquis, now you know why I am so unwilling to accept your challenge and want to take back the spot in the Blood Wave realm? Duanlang stared at Jian Wushuang with a burning gaze. There's no other way. It's too difficult to break through to become a Principal's Master by relying on one's own ability. Even among the hundreds of top immortal saints, not one may be able to break through. The opportunity in the Blood Wave Palace in the Blood Wave realm is a shortcut for us to directly become Principal's Masters. There won't be another shortcut like this in the entire divine beginning realm. Chapter 3204. Desire After hearing Duanlang's explanation, Jian Wushuang felt relieved. Who did not want to become a Principal's Master? There were many shortcuts to becoming a Principal's Master in Blood Wave Palace. Even Jian Wushuang himself was full of desire and fanaticism for this shortcut, let alone Duanlang. Naturally, many top immortal saints in the divine beginning realm were crazy about entering the Blood Wave realm. The opportunity in the Blood Wave realm is enough to drive many immortal saints crazy. Every time the Blood Wave realm opens, only 10 people can enter the Blood Wave Temple to get the opportunity. Therefore, the competition in the Blood Wave realm will be unusually fierce and the killing will be extensive, Qian Hongzi said solemnly. As far as I know, every time the Blood Wave realm opens, a large number of top-notch saints participate in it. Among them, there are many top-notch immortal saints who are killed in the competition. Many top-notch immortal saints die each time, and even a few invincible saints are killed each time. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Every time the Blood Wave realm opened, a group of top immortal saints would die, and even a few invincible saints would die. Obviously, the competition in the Blood Wave realm was so fierce that even invincible saints could not survive. Brother Heavenly Marquis, your current realm should have reached the limit of rank 6, right? There are still more than 8 years before the Blood Wave realm opens. In these 8 years, can you think of a way to break through to rank 7 true saint? Qian Hongzi asked. Right now you are only at the true level of the limit of rank 6, yet you can fight Duanlang to such an extent. If you can take another step forward and break through to become a rank 7 true saint, then when you unleash your full power even amongst the invincible saints, you will probably be considered quite strong. At that time, the small team of 6 of us will have stronger combat power, and we will have more capital to roam around the Blood Wave realm, Fei Shue said. The battle in the Blood Wave realm was extremely fierce and crazy. Although 6 people from the Temporal Temple had entered the Blood Wave realm together and they would form a small team, their 6-man team was still in the Blood Wave realm. They might not be able to do whatever they wanted. The stronger Jian Wushuang was, the better. Hearing their words, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile bitterly. As you know, 300 years ago I was only a rank 4 true saint. The reason why I was able to reach the peak of rank 6 in these 300 years was mainly that I had made great progress in the spacetime principles and sword principles. I could also feel the existence of bottlenecks, so after staying in the spacetime tower for a period of time, I successfully broke through 2 realms. But now I have just reached the limit of rank 6. I can't even sense the barrier in my body, so how can I break through? Even if I stay in the temporal tower for the past 8 years, I'm afraid I won't be able to break through. Jian Wushuang shook his head. It was not that he did not have confidence in himself, but that he had just experienced a huge breakthrough in his realm. It had only been a short time since he had reached the limit of rank 6 and was now a rank 7 true saint. This bottleneck was not so easy to break through. Regarding this, Qin Hongzi, Duan Lang and Fei Xue could only feel regret. Alright, I've drunk the wine. I've said what I should say. There are still 8 more years. I don't want to waste these 8 years, so I'll go back first. Qin Hongzi stood up. I have to go cultivate too. I originally thought that among the people from my temporal temple who entered the blood wave realm this time, my strength should still be at the middle level. I did not expect Duan Lang and Heavenly Sword Marquis to be so strong. If nothing unexpected happens now, I should be the weakest among the 6. If I don't work hard, I'll be dragging you guys down by then. Fei Xue added. In that case, let's go, Duan Lang said with a smile. Soon the 4 of them left one by one. After leaving Duan Lang, Jian Wushuang flew alone in the void of the time-space island, but his expression was very solemn. The opportunities in the Bloodwave realm are so huge. When the time comes, the battles between countless top-notch immortal saints, including some invincible saints, will be very fierce. Although I'm not weak with my current strength, it's still too difficult for me to snatch the qualification to enter the Bloodwave Palace from so many top experts. In addition, the Bloodwave realm is open to all sects in the Divine Beginning realm. Not only the Temporal Temple, the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect, and many top sects in the Divine Beginning realm, but also the First Heaven. The 3 Saint realms, the 4 Divine clans, and the 8 Directions Divine sect will probably send experts to participate. The 3 Saint realms are my mortal enemies. Once they know that I'm in the Bloodwave realm, they will certainly come to kill me at all costs. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He had reached the 4th stage of comprehending spacetime principles and had mastered teleportation. He could also use spacetime teleportation, which was very powerful for survival. The principles masters could not enter the Bloodwave realm at all. Even the power of the will of heaven was limited. If he stayed in the Bloodwave realm, no one should be able to kill him. However, when he went to the Bloodwave realm, his purpose was not only to ensure that he did not die. He also had to participate in the competition, and he might even fight with the 3 Saint realms. Naturally, he needed to be stronger. I have just reached the peak of rank 6. It's almost impossible for me to make a breakthrough in the past 8 years. In terms of rules, I can't improve much in the past 8 years. In the past 8 years, there's only one person who can make a huge difference in my strength. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with a fierce light. He immediately rushed into the distance. In just a moment, Jian Wushuang arrived at the true martial mystic realm again. In the vast ice field of the true martial mystic realm, there stood tall icebergs. Each of the icebergs had the names of their ancestors, which were left behind by the principles masters in the history of the Divine Beginning realm. Jian Wushuang was very familiar with the way, so he came to the base of a huge iceberg near the center. In the middle of the iceberg, there were 4 characters carved with flying dragons and dancing phoenixes. Bloodblade Master. Moreover, these 4 characters were blood red. Bloodblade Master was widely recognized as the #1 assassin in that era 8 million years ago, and he was the king of assassins who was best at assassination. His shadowless escape art and the Bloodblade sword art were both famous throughout the world. During the 290 years that Jian Wushuang spent on the time-space island, he spent most of his time in the true martial mystic realm, which was under the iceberg. He saw the shadowless escape art and the Bloodblade sword art that the Bloodblade Master had left behind. After a period of careful study and comprehension, he had mastered the shadowless escape art, but he had yet to master the Bloodblade sword art. Chapter 3205. The Bloody Sword Skill. The combination of the shadowless escape skill and the bloody sword skill created the widely recognized #1 assassin of that era, the master of the bloody sword. However, I have only mastered the shadowless escape skill, Jian Wushuang muttered. Previously, in the 9 Wolf Mountain range, he had used the shadowless escape skill and the silent sword skill he had comprehended to kill the 13 axes. The reason was that the 13 axes were too weak. If it had been another expert, such as Jian Wushuang, who had used the shadowless escape art to perform the silent swordsmanship when he was fighting Duan Lang, the 13 axes would have been killed. However, Duan Lang had reacted at the last moment and avoided his vital points in time. The swordsmanship could not pierce through Duan Lang's protective armor when it pierced his divine body. In other words, even if Duan Lang did not have the Black Demon realm and could not sense his presence, he could at least last for a long time in his hands. However, if the silent sword skill was replaced with the blood blade sword skill, the silent sword skill was left behind by the sword origin master. In terms of strength, although the sword origin master is also a principles master, he is far inferior to the blood blade master. Moreover, the silent sword skill is not the strongest sword skill of the sword origin master. It was just casually left behind by the sword origin master. In comparison, the blood blade sword skill is naturally much stronger than the silent sword skill, Jian Wushuang thought. There were still more than 8 years before the opening of the Blood Wave realm. During these 8 years, Jian Wushuang had been thinking of mastering the blood blade sword art. Once he mastered it, with the blood blade sword art and the shadowless escape art, his assassination ability would be truly terrifying. At that time, not to mention a peak saint, even an invincible saint could be killed if he was not careful. I've been comprehending the blood sword skill for a while. There are 4 sword skills in total, each of which is extremely exquisite and complicated. I only have 8 years. It's impossible for me to master all 4 sword skills of the blood sword skill. I can only focus all my energy on the first move of the blood sword skill. If I can master the first move in these 8 years, it'll be a great achievement. Jian Wushuang already had his own plan in his heart. Immediately, he began to carefully study the image left by the Blood Blade Master under the iceberg. In the image, the Blood Blade Master performed a total of 4 sword techniques. The first move was called Dripping Blood. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, more than 8 years had passed. In the true martial mystic realm, Jian Wushuang was still sitting cross-legged under the iceberg with a slight frown on his face. Blood drop, sword rise, blood drop. This sword move condenses all the power into one point, and then suddenly explodes and penetrates the opponent's divine body. Not only in terms of swordsmanship speed but also in terms of power, it is much stronger than the breath-free swordsmanship, especially the terrifying penetrating power. Jian Wushuang slightly clenched his hands. The most terrifying part of the blood drop move of the bloody blade sword technique was the penetrating power. It condensed all the power into the tip of the sword and then exploded, breaking through all the obstacles in front of it in an instant. This blood drop move is extremely exquisite. Over the past 8 years I have spent all my energy on this sword move. Although I have comprehended most of the mysteries of this sword move and can barely perform this sword move, what I can perform is only a framework, but I can't perform the true power of this sword move. I always feel that something is missing. If I'm not wrong, what I lack is the penetrating power. The penetrating power contained in the first move of blood drop doesn't seem to be as simple as it seems. Jian Wushuang frowned. He had already realized that he was missing something when he was comprehending the first move of blood drop, and he already knew what he was missing. If he was given more time to comprehend the sword skill under the iceberg, he would be able to completely comprehend it in 3 to 5 years at most. Unfortunately, he did not have that much time because the Blood Wave realm was about to open. It's too late. Temple Master Bai Xing has sent me a message to gather at the drill ground. Jian Wushuang looked up at the iceberg in front of him, feeling a little regretful. His original plan was to master the Blood Drop 1 move before he went to the Blood Wave realm, but now it seemed that he could not achieve it. He could only go to the Blood Wave realm first and study it slowly when he got there. Phew. Jian Wushuang stood up and looked at iceberg longingly. Then he went straight to the drill ground. On the drill ground where Jian Wushuang had fought with Duan Lang, several figures had gathered. Jian Wushuang flew over from afar and landed in front of these figures. As soon as he arrived, Jian Wushuang bowed to the black-clothed elder in front of him and said, "Greetings, Lord Hunyuan." Yes. The black-clothed elder, Master of Hunyuan, nodded slightly. Temple Master Bai Xing has instructed me to lead you to the Blood Wave realm. Among the 6 of you, Heavenly Sword Marquis has just arrived at my temporal temple. Previously he had only met Duan Lang, Chen Hongzi and Fei Xue, but I'm afraid that the other 2 haven't met yet. Now you can get to know each other first. As soon as Hunyuan Master finished speaking, a burly man in red armor walked out and stood in front of Jian Wushuang. He stared at Jian Wushuang with his slightly bloodshot eyes and then grinned, revealing his white teeth. He said, "You're Heavenly Sword Heavenly? I heard that you were able to severely injure Duan Lang after he used the Black Demon realm. He didn't even have the confidence to defeat you. You're quite powerful." You? Jian Wushuang looked at the burly man in front of him. He had heard from Chen Hongzi and the others that Yu was simple and honest. He looked a bit silly, which was obviously a perfect match for the man in front of him. It's me. Yu nodded. I have been training outside and came back 6 months ago. When I came back, I heard about the battle between you and Duan Lang. Then I couldn't help but fight with Duan Lang. I have to say that Duan Lang has cultivated the Black Demon secret skill to the profound realm, so his strength is indeed very strong. I can't even gain any advantage from fighting with him. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was shocked. He had fought with Duan Lang before, so he knew that Duan Lang's battle strength was almost comparable to that of the Invincible Saint. However, Yi was comparable to Duan Lang, which showed his strength. Heavenly Sword Marquis, ignore him. This guy is a battle maniac. If you talk to him, he will challenge you again. Qin Hongzi, Duan Lang, and Fei Xue also walked up. Chapter 3206. Heading to the Blood Wave Realm. What? Even if I really want to fight with the Heavenly Sword Marquis, what does it have to do with you guys? Yu glanced at Chen Hongzi and the other two unhappily. It doesn't have anything to do with you guys, but Yu, don't blame me for not reminding you. Although you can fight Duan Lang to a draw, the Heavenly Sword Marquis methods are quite special. He has mastered the shadowless escape technique, and when he uses it, it can be used without a trace. Duan Lang is qualified to fight him because he has the Black Demon domain that can sense his position. As for you, Chen Hongzi smiled strangely. If you fight with the Heavenly Sword Marquis, I'm afraid you won't even be able to touch the corner of his clothes. You'll only be a living target for him. Shadowless escape art? Yu frowned slightly. He had cultivated in the true martial mystic realm for a very long time. Naturally, he had seen the iceberg left by the master of the bloodshed god. Naturally, he had some understanding of the shadowless escape art. I'm just saying. How could I really fight with him? Yu said. Haha, if you really want to fight with Heavenly Sword Marquis, we won't stop you. Chen Hongzi laughed. Duan Lang and Fei Xue also had gloating smiles on their faces. Brother Heavenly Marquis. Chen Hongzi pulled Jian Wushuang to the side and said, You already know Yu. He's silly. You don't have to pay attention to him. Let me introduce him to you, Dihao. Jian Wushuang immediately looked at the cold man in a blood-red robe standing next to him. The cold man had a cold face and long scarlet hair. His long and narrow eyes were extremely cold, and the 2-meter-long axe on his back was quite conspicuous. Dihao was widely recognized as the strongest expert in the temporal temple among the immortal saints. Chen Hongzi was also an invincible saint, but he knew that he was no match for Dihao. Giant axe. Jian Wushuang looked at the giant axe on Dihao's back and frowned slightly. It must be known that the cultivators in the temporal temple all comprehended the principles of time and space. The principles of time and space focused on speed and power, so they were not very good at it. Therefore, the cultivators who comprehended the principles of time and space usually chose more nimble weapons. For example, Jian Wushuang was good at swordsmanship. Duan Lang used a spear. Chen Hongzi used a saber as a weapon. They were both more agile and could perfectly cooperate with space-time principles. However, Dihao used a giant axe as a weapon. The giant axe was powerful and heavy, so it was not suitable to use space-time principles. As if seeing Jian Wushuang's surprise, Chen Hongzi said softly, Brother Heavenly Marquis, you probably don't know that Dihao comprehended both the space-time principles and the destruction principles at the same time. His attainments in the destruction principles are higher than the space-time principles. The giant axe on his back has been refined by an expert. Not only can he control it with the destruction principles, but he can also control it with the space-time principles. Is that so? Jian Wushuang suddenly understood. Dihao glanced at Jian Wushuang and nodded slightly. Jian Wushuang naturally smiled and nodded in response. It seems like what you said before, Dihao is more withdrawn. Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. Yes, but don't take it to heart. Although he is more withdrawn, he is still easy to get along with. Chen Hongzi said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. All right. The grand voice came out of the mouth of the Chaos Master. Immediately, Jian Wushuang and the others shut their mouths and looked at the Chaos Master. The Blood Wave realm is about to open, and every time it opens, the battles inside will be unusually fierce and even crazy. Although your strength is at the top level among the immortal saints and 6 of you are working together, you still have to be careful in the Blood Wave realm. After all, those who can enter the Blood Wave realm are all very powerful. Even the weakest should be a peak true saint of the 7th rank, and most of them are peak saints. There are also many who are invincible saints. If you are not careful enough, you will also be in danger of dying. You have to know that in the history of our temporal temple, there have been precedents of people dying in the blood wave realm. 300,000 years ago, 2 people died in the blood wave realm. 8 million years ago, only 2 people survived. 30 million years ago, it was the worst time for the temporal temple. All 5 people who entered the temporal temple died. Not a single one survived. Hunyuan Master's deep voice rang in Jian Wushuang and the others' ears. Jian Wushuang and the others looked solemn. They did not dare to underestimate the fierce competition and slaughter in the blood wave realm. Just as Hunyuan Master had said, the temporal temple had suffered heavy losses in the blood wave realm. During the fierce competition and slaughter, many peak saints who yearned for the opportunities in the blood wave temple would be killed. They did not care whether they were from the temporal temple or not. As long as they were in their way, they would be killed. Because the battle in the blood wave realm is crazy, the temporal temple will give each of you a drop of divine power as a support, Hunyuan Master said as he flipped his hand. Immediately, drops of divine power floated toward Jian Wushuang and the others. Jian Wushuang and the others each received a drop of divine power. Divine power was very useful at critical moments. However, in fact, not only Jian Wushuang but Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and the others had already made some preparations. No one had prepared a few drops of divine power, which was enough for them to use in the blood wave realm. It's about time, let's go. Without saying anything else, the Hunyuan Master led Jian Wushuang and the others away from the time-space island. After leaving the special time-space where the time-space island was located, they teleported and hurried on their way. In less than half a day they arrived at a huge sea area. In the middle of the sea area there was a cliff. We're here. The Hunyuan Master landed on the cliff. At this moment there were many cultivators on the cliff. At a glance there seemed to be more than 100 people. Is this the entrance to the blood wave realm? Jian Wushuang looked at the crowd gathered in front of him. The blood wave realm is very special in the divine beginning realm. No one knows its exact location. People in the divine beginning realm can only enter through the spatial passage that opens once every 100,000 years. There are a total of 10 spatial passages into the blood wave realm, 3 of which are in the first heaven, second heaven, and third heaven. The last one is on the broken moon cliff in the boundless sea beyond the third heaven, which is where we are now, Hunyuan Master explained. Chapter 3207. True Saint ranking. Many forces and sects in the third heaven enter the blood wave realm through the spatial passage in the third heaven. The space-time where our temporal temple is located is extremely special and is not within the third heaven. Therefore, every time our temporal temple enters the blood wave realm through the spatial passage on the Mirror Moon Cliff. Most of the cultivators on the Mirror Moon Cliff are from the boundless sea and some of the major forces around the third heaven. Many of them are solitary experts, Hunyuan Master said. Jian Wushuang understood. He had noticed that the hundreds of cultivators gathered on the Mirror Moon Cliff all had extraordinary auras. Most of them were at the peak of the saint realm, and there were even 3 invincible saints. This is just a space passage beyond the third heaven. The core of the divine beginning realm is the third heaven. There are 9 space passages in the third heaven, so there must be more experts gathered there. The quality will also be higher. Conservatively speaking, there should be thousands of experts entering the blood wave realm this time. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. When Jian Wushuang and the others appeared on the Mirror Moon Cliff, there was a commotion among the cultivators on the Mirror Moon Cliff. It's the temporal temple. The people from the temporal temple are here. I don't know the principal's master, but I know the 6 people behind him and the cold man with a giant axe on his back. He's Dihao, who's on the true saint list. Doesn't the temporal temple only have 5 slots to enter the blood wave realm? Why are there 6 people here? What's the rank 6 true saint doing here? A rank 6 true saint wants to enter the blood wave realm? Are you kidding me? Humph, why not? The temporal temple is one of the 3 freedom alliances. Although only 5 people have entered the blood wave realm in the past, if the temporal temple is willing to send 6 people in, so what? Who dares to say anything? That's true. Whispers rang out in the crowd. Many experts in the crowd looked at Jian Wushuang and the others with awe and envy. The temporal temple was a behemoth in the divine beginning realm. Many people yearned for it to become an expert under such a behemoth. The space passage hasn't been opened yet. Let's wait here first, said the Hunyuan Master. Jian Wushuang and the others immediately stopped where they were. Jian Wushuang was listening to the discussions of the surrounding cultivators. He could hear some of the discussions clearly. Most of them were aimed at Dihao and Jian Wushuang. They were talking about Dihao because his name was big. They were talking about Jian Wushuang because Jian Wushuang was only at the 6th level true saint realm. He was too conspicuous in the crowd. Haha, It seems that Di Hao has stolen our limelight. Yu laughed loudly. Nonsense, who told you that we are not as famous as Di Hao? Chen Hongzi rolled his eyes at Yu. Guys, Jian Wushuang suddenly said, I heard that they mentioned Di Hao many times and said that he was on the True Saint list. What is the True Saint list? You even know about the True Saint list? Yu looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you haven't cultivated for long and improved so fast. It's normal that you don't know about it. Chen Hongzi smiled. He continued, Brother Heavenly Marquis, I have a piece of information about some famous immortal saints in this era. Take a closer look and you'll know. Chen Hongzi waved his hand and handed a thick piece of information to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took it and immediately began to read it. So many people. Jian Wushuang exclaimed after a short while. The piece of information Chen Hongzi gave him was hundreds of pages long. As he read it, he found that almost half a page of the information had introduced an expert. Adding up the hundreds of pages, it was equivalent to mentioning nearly 1,000 experts. These nearly 1,000 experts were well known in the divine beginning realm, and their strength was astonishing. They were at least at the peak of the saint realm. Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. This is Dao Long? Jian Wushuang looked at the information in his hand. The first half of the page that he was looking at was the introduction of Dao Long. Dao Long had helped Jian Wushuang in solving a siege by the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Of course, Jian Wushuang had paid a huge price to invite Dao Long because he had issued an emperor-level mission to the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. The strength that Dao Long had displayed at that time was indeed very impressive. Now that Jian Wushuang saw the information on the report, he immediately understood. No wonder the Purple Cloud Pavilion could not do anything to Dao Dragon without the principal's master. It turns out that Dao Dragon has already reached the peak saint realm. Jian Wushuang smiled. The information Chen Hongzi gave him was obtained from the temporal temple and was extremely accurate. Dao Dragon had reached the peak saint realm 30,000 years ago, and his life-saving methods were very strong. He had lost to the invincible saint more than once. For example, the Purple Cloud Pavilion had sent the invincible saint to hunt down Dao Dragon. However, Dao Long had easily escaped. In the divine beginning realm, Dao Long was indeed very famous. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you've been reading Dao Long's information for so long. Could it be that you've had dealings with him before? Chen Hongzi looked over. Yes, we have. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. No wonder, Chen Hongzi said calmly. I've also skimmed through Dao Long's information. His strength is only average and he's at the bottom among the peak saints. However, his life-saving skills are not bad. At the bottom? Jian Wushuang was speechless, but he was not surprised. Then Jian Wushuang continued to read. The information of experts, including powerful peak saints and even invincible saints, appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. After an hour, Jian Wushuang finally saw the last part of the information, which was the True Saint list. There were 60 pages of the True Saint list, with only 30 names recorded on every 2 pages. There are only 30 people on the True Saint list? Jian Wushuang was surprised. There are 30 people. No matter which era, there will only be 30 names on the True Saint list. These 30 names should be the strongest 30 immortal saints of this era, and they are ranked according to their strength, Chen Hongzi said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and then looked forward from the bottom of the list. The 30th on the True Saint list is Enluo from the Void Heaven Sect. Chapter 3208. Entering. Enluo specializes in the laws of darkness. His comprehension of the principles of darkness has reached perfection. He is only one step away from mastering them completely. He cultivates the Void Heaven secret art and has reached great success. He can condense 3 Void Heaven demonic shadows at the same time and is skilled in saber techniques. He is known for his strangeness. His strongest technique, Dream of Darkness, once fought against 5 immortal lords by himself 30,000 years ago. He defeated 5 immortal lords and killed 3 of them. He became famous in one battle. The information on this report was very detailed about Enluo. It included the principles he had comprehended, the secret techniques he was good at, and his achievements since he became famous. Enluo is so strong. Jian Wushuang could not help but exclaim. In this report there was a mention of the 5 immortal emperors. One of them was the invincible saint, and the other 4 were peak saints. This lineup was extremely powerful. However, Enluo defeated the 5 immortal emperors and killed 3 of them. This ability was not something an invincible saint could have. That was why Enluo was listed on the True Saint list. Although he was ranked last, he was still very impressive. Ranked 29th on the True Saint list, Tyrannical Spear Guji, Jian Wushuang looked at the rankings one by one from the back to the front. He looked at them in great detail. He looked at the techniques that the experts on the True Saint list were good at and the battle results they had obtained. He became more and more surprised. It had to be said that those who could be ranked on the True Saint list were the most terrifying existences among the invincible saints. Each of them had the strength to easily crush an ordinary invincible saint. When they met a peak saint, they could easily sweep them away. At this moment, Jian Wushuang saw a name. Number 8 on the True Saint list, Di Hao of the Temporal Temple. It's Di Hao. Jian Wushuang's heart moved. He had just learned that Di Hao was ranked on the True Saint list, but he did not know the ranking on the True Saint list. Only now did he know that Di Hao was ranked on the True Saint list. He was ranked 8th. Although he was only ranked 8th, he should not underestimate this ranking. Anyone who could be ranked on the True Saint list was the most terrifying existence among the immortal saints. Those who could be ranked in the top 10 were all monsters. Although they could not be compared to the Principal's masters, however, their strength had completely surpassed that of an ordinary invincible saint. Any one of the top 10 on the True Saint list could almost fight against several invincible saints at the same time. For example, Di Hao's battle record showed that he had once fought against 3 invincible saints at the same time, and even forced them to retreat. One could imagine how terrifying his strength was. Jian Wushuang continued to look forward. In the end, ranked 3rd on the True Saint list, Holy Maiden of 9 Palaces. Ranked 2nd on the True Saint list, Holy Devil's Son. Ranked 1st on the True Saint list, Light King. Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank when he saw the information about the 3 people. The reason was that the 3 people had killed the invincible saint in a head-on fight. This was a head-on fight, not just a defeat or defeat. The top 30 on the True Saint list all have a head-on fight with an invincible saint. The top 3 can defeat 2 or 3 invincible saints at the same time. However, they can only defeat them but they can't kill them, Jian Wushuang said with a serious expression. The invincible saint's title meant that they were at the peak of the immortal saint realm. Experts at this level not only had extremely powerful abilities, but they also had their own life-saving methods. Some of the invincible saints' life-saving methods were so powerful that even the Principal's master could not do anything to them. As the invincible saint, he must have some special trump cards. For example, the power of God. If an invincible saint did not care about anything and used the wisp of power contained in the power of God, it would be very terrifying if he went all out. Because of this, in the divine beginning realm, it was very difficult for an invincible saint and an invincible saint to kill each other, even if there was a gap between their strength. Even experts on the True Saint list could not do it. However, the top 3 on the True Saint list had killed an invincible saint. These 3 should be the 3 strongest immortal saints of this era, Jian Wushuang thought. Brother Heavenly Marquis, you should read the information I gave you, especially the experts on the True Saint list. If nothing goes wrong, at least half of the 30 experts on the True Saint list will enter the Blood Wave realm. We might encounter them when we travel in the Blood Wave realm or even fight for the opportunity. With this information, at least you can recognize them when you see them. If you fight them, you'll know what they're good at and you can be more cautious. Also, if we meet some strange experts in the Blood Wave realm that we haven't heard of or reported, we can't be careless. After all, the divine beginning realm is very big. There are many powerful immortal saints who have never shown their power or made a name for themselves. However, their power is terrifying. As far as I know, many strange experts will rise in the Blood Wave realm every time. Some of them can even challenge the True Saint ranking. Every time the Blood Wave realm ends, the rankings on the True Saint ranking will change greatly, Qian Hongzi said. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Duan Lang, Fei Xue, and Yu Yu, who were standing next to him, looked extremely solemn. Only Di Hao had been extremely cold. At this moment, a strange energy fluctuation rose in the open space in the center of the Mirror Moon Cliff. It's starting. The Blood Wave realm is finally about to open. Get ready. The crowd immediately became restless. Countless eyes were fixed on the rising energy fluctuation, and all of them were extremely hot. The Blood Wave realm is about to open. The 6 of you be careful in the Blood Wave realm, Chaos Master warned. Jian Wushuang and the others nodded heavily. The energy in the center began to condense. In a moment, a space passage appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It's opened. Let's go in. Into the Blood Wave realm. More than 100 cultivators on the Mirror Moon Cliff rushed into the space passage like wasps. One by one they rushed into the space passage. Let's go in, Qian Hongzi said. Jian Wushuang, Di Hao, Duan Lang, Fei Xue, Yu Yu, and Chen Hongzi immediately rushed into the space passage. Chapter 3209. Inside the Blood Wave realm there were 3 blood moons hanging high in the blood-red sky. The soil on the damp ground was also slightly red. The air was filled with a faint blood-red mist, making the entire world look very bewitching. And this was the Blood Wave realm. In the divine beginning realm, countless immortal saints longed for and yearned for this place. In one of the void, hundreds of cultivators who had just come in through the spatial passage from Mirror Moon Cliff appeared here. As soon as they appeared, they first observed their surroundings. This is the Blood Wave realm? Jian Wushuang also looked around. I feel that other than being a little demonic, everything else is no different from the outside world. Well no, Jian Wushuang suddenly frowned. I can vaguely feel that there seems to be some kind of restriction in this world. Yes, there is a restriction. Chen Hongzi looked over. This restriction is a restriction on the power. I've long heard that the power in the Blood Wave realm can only exist at the level of the Immortal Saint. Any power beyond the Immortal Saint's level will be restricted here. That is to say, even if a Principal's Master comes here, the battle strength he can exert is only at the level of the Immortal Saint. Of course, the Principal's Master can't enter the Blood Wave realm at all. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, but he felt a little regretful. The Blood Wave realm restricted all power beyond the level of the Immortal Saint. That meant that the life-saving items given to him by the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, the 2 tokens refined by the 2 Palace Masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, could not be used by him in the Blood Wave realm. It was impossible for him to use them. Although there is a limit to our powers, there is no space. Those of us who have comprehended the space-time principles can still use teleportation in the Blood Wave realm, Chen Hongzi said with a smile. Jian Wushuang also realized that the space-time in the Blood Wave realm was no different from the outside world. He could not only use teleportation here but also use space-time teleportation. As long as I can use time-space teleportation, no one in the Blood Wave realm can pose a real threat to me, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. The surrounding cultivators who had entered the Blood Wave realm through the space passage in the Mirror Moon Cliff all rushed to the surroundings. Let's go. The Blood Wave realm has just opened, so the fight for the Blood Wave token will not start for some time. Before that, we will go to the depths of the Blood Wave realm. According to our previous experience, most of the Blood Wave tokens appear in the depths of the Blood Wave realm. We can only be qualified to fight for the Blood Wave token if we get there first, Chen Hongzi said. The Blood Wave token was the ticket to enter the Blood Wave Palace. Every time the Blood Wave realm was opened, 10 Blood Wave tokens would appear randomly. Those who received the Blood Wave tokens could finally enter the Blood Wave Palace and get an opportunity. Let's go. Jian Wushuang and the other 3 people started to move. They did not use teleportation. Instead, they relied on their own speed to fly all the way to the core area of the Blood Wave realm. In a flash, 3 days had passed. The Blood Wave realm is really big. We have traveled for 3 days at our speed, but we still haven't reached the core area of the Blood Wave realm, Jian Wushuang sighed. Haha, it's still early. The territory of the Blood Wave realm is much larger than many countries in the First Heaven. We haven't used teleportation. We can probably reach the core area in 10 days at our own speed. Chen Hongzi smiled. But we don't need to rush. In the past, the Blood Wave token only appeared 1 month after the Blood Wave realm opened. We have plenty of time. Jian Wushuang nodded. Because they had plenty of time, they did not need to rush. That was why they left casually and did not use teleportation. But at this moment, boom, 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 boom. A series of intense energy rumbles were suddenly transmitted over from the void in front of them. These rumbles continued to ring out. It was very obvious that there were people fighting in front of them. What's going on? This isn't the core region of the Blood Wave realm. Furthermore, that Blood Wave token has yet to appear. The battle has yet to begin. Why are there people fighting now? Chen Hongzi looked ahead in astonishment. It shouldn't be for the Blood Wave token. Perhaps there is a personal grudge between us, and we just happened to bump into each other here. That's why we took action. Fei Shua said. It's rare for us to meet someone who is fighting fiercely. Should we go over and take a look? Yu Ye's eyes were emitting light. Haha, go, of course, well, go. Chen Hongzi laughed. Immediately, the 6 of them headed directly toward the void where the battle was taking place. As soon as they appeared in the void near the battleground, they were immediately attracted by the battle ahead. There were a total of 5 cultivators on one side of the battle, and all 5 of them were extremely powerful. 3 of them were invincible saints, and the remaining 2 were also extremely powerful peak saints. As for the other side, there were only 3 cultivators, and they were only invincible saints while the other 2 were peak saints. The difference in strength and lineup between the two sides was obviously huge. Because of this, the side of the three cultivators had already been defeated, and they were in a terrible situation. That person, Qian Hongzi, Feishue Duanlang, and the others stared at the black-haired handsome young man who had the strongest and most dazzling aura at the center of the battle. The black-haired handsome youth held a long spear in both of his hands, and both spears were covered in dark purple lightning. He was like the ruler of lightning, and he was extremely domineering. The spear in his hand stabbed out again and again, and the invincible saint who was fighting with him was completely suppressed by him. Thunder God. It's the Thunder God of the Destruction Saint realm. Ranked 6th on the True Saint ranking. Qian Hongzi, Feishue Duanlang, and Yu were all shocked. Even Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank. He had read Qian Hongzi's information carefully so he could recognize the man in front of him. Thunder God, ranked 6th on the True Saint list, was born in the Thunder Beast clan, a peak clan in the Divine Beginning realm. He was born to be the favorite of Thunder. He had incredible talent in Thunder principles, and later joined the Destruction Saint realm. He was the strongest immortal saint in the Destruction Saint realm. His strongest battle record was that he fought against 4 invincible saints by himself and defeated them head-on. This was even more shocking than Dihao's battle record. People from the Destruction Saint realm. Jian Wushuang stared at Thunder God in the distance, with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. In the Divine Beginning realm there were 3 saint realms. The Destruction Saint realm, the Saint realm of life and death, and the Saint realm of fire. The 3 saint realms were named after the 3 masters of the saint realm, and they were mortal enemies with Jian Wushuang. Now that he saw the people from the Destruction Saint realm, Jian Wushuang was filled with killing intent. Chapter 32:10. Attack, Thunder God, the 3 of us don't have any personal grudges against you. Our Ziwei Divine sect has always been in awe of the Destruction Saint realm. Why do you have to be so aggressive? The long-haired old man who was fighting with Thunder God shouted in a low voice. You and I don't have any personal grudges, but your Ziwei Divine sect has always been in awe of my Destruction Saint realm, but that doesn't seem to be the case, does it? Don't forget, 100,000 years ago, the last time the Blood Wave realm opened, there was an invincible saint of our Destruction Saint realm. It was because of the defeat of your Ziwei Divine sect that he died, Thunder God said coldly. The last time the Blood Wave realm opened? The long-haired elder was startled, then he said angrily, that was because both sides fought over the Blood Wave token. There was no fair background to speak of. Even if you died in the battle, you can only blame yourself for not being strong enough. You can't blame anyone else but you. The Destruction Saint realm actually used this matter to make a fuss? Humph, I who destroy the Saint realm can't die in vain, Thunder God said coldly. Stop struggling and accept your death. The battle immediately became even more intense. In the void not far from the battlefield, Jian Wushuang and the other 3 heard the conversation between Thunder God and the long-haired elder. Thanks, this Destruction Saint realm is really overbearing. The fight for opportunities in the Blood Wave realm is extremely crazy. Countless experts from various forces will participate in the fight, and it is reasonable to accidentally kill them in the fight. Under normal circumstances, if an expert from their side is killed in the fight for opportunities, the force behind the expert will not take revenge. They can only blame themselves for not being good enough. Although the forces of the Divine Beginning realm have never agreed on this point, they have long formed a tacit understanding. Only in this way can the experts of the forces of the Absolute Beginning Divine realm fight for that opportunity without any scruples. But this Destruction Saint realm is still holding a grudge. Qian Hongzi sneered. The 3 saint realms have always been overbearing. This point has long been known to the world. However, perhaps they still have some misgivings about the forces of the Divine Beginning realm. This Destruction Holy Region didn't directly take revenge on the Ziwei Divine sect on the surface. They only attacked when the Blood Wave realm opened this time. Duanlang said. In any case, the 3 people from the Ziwei Divine sect are unlucky to be targeted by Thunder God and the others, Yu said, but suddenly his expression changed. Guys, it's rare to meet people from the Destruction Saint realm. Should we directly attack them and teach them a lesson? Directly attack them? Teach them a lesson? Jian Wushuang was stunned. However, Qian Hongzi, Feishue, and Duanlang were quite enthusiastic. Brother Heavenly Marquis, I'm afraid you don't know that in the Divine Beginning realm, the 3 great saint realms are high and mighty. Only the 3 great freedom alliances are qualified to challenge the 3 great saint realms directly. Because of this, the 3 great freedom alliances and the 3 great saint realms have been fighting for a long time. Whether it is on the surface or in the dark, there are many battles. Both sides have long been like fire and water. In this blood wave realm, the competition between the three great saint realms and the three great freedom alliances is also very fierce, Qian Hongzi said with a smile. Yes, Temple Master Bai Xing has already told us that if we meet people from the three saint realms, we don't have to be polite with them, Yu said with a smile. In that case, what are we waiting for? Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining. He was worried that he could not find a reason to attack the three saint realms. Di Hao, what about you? Qian Hongzi glanced at Di Hao. Thunder God, leave it to me, Di Hao said coldly. Haha, if that's the case then let's do it. Qian Hongzi laughed and instantly 6 figures charged towards the battlefield. On the battlefield, the 3 from the Ziwei divine sect were in a precarious situation. But at this moment, 6 figures charged toward them at an astonishing speed. The faces of the 5 from the Destruction Saint realm all changed. That person is Di Hao? Thunder God's eyes darkened. Not good, it's the Temporal Temple. Careful. Thunder God immediately let out a low shout. The 6 from the Temporal Temple were all experts in the principles of space and time, and they were astonishingly fast. In an instant they had charged into the battlefield. The leader, Di Hao, was emitting an endless destructive aura. As he approached, the huge axe on his back appeared out of thin air in his hand. Boom! The huge axe suddenly slashed out. Just the power of this earth-shattering axe was enough to make ordinary peak saints despair. However, Di Hao was facing Thunder God, who was ranked 6th on the True Saint rankings. In terms of ranking, he was even higher than Di Hao. Get lost! Di Hao let out a roar. The 2 long spears in his hands were filled with endless dark purple lightning. The moment he stabbed out, a huge dark purple thunder dragon instantly roared. Bang! With a loud sound, the thunder dragon collapsed and the axe shadow dissipated. Di Hao and Thunder God both retreated rapidly. However, the next moment they rushed out again and fought fiercely. While Di Hao and Thunder God were fighting, Qian Hongzi, Yu Duanlang, Fei Xue, and Jian Wushuang also found their opponents. Jian Wushuang's opponent was a beautiful woman in a plain robe. The beautiful woman wore a pair of crystal gloves, which were suffused with rich principles power. When she saw Jian Wushuang rushing toward her, she was stunned. The beautiful woman was stunned. A mere rank 6 true saint dares to enter the blood wave realm? You're courting death. The beautiful woman raised her right hand. Under the gathering of endless divine power, her right hand instantly enlarged and then directly struck toward Jian Wushuang. Come on. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. When he approached the beautiful woman, the divine power aura on his body also began to rise at an alarming speed. 7-star secret skill, divine punishment, and 9 brilliant star armor. In just a short moment, Jian Wushuang had displayed all 3 secret skills at the same time, and his battle strength had reached its peak. Wushuang Sword Manual Shixiang. Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold as he slashed down with the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. Along with a mournful beast roar, an astonishing ruthless aura spread out. A blood-red sword light, like a blood-red thunderbolt, struck the beautiful woman's crystal-clear palm in an instant, then a terrifying power suddenly erupted. What? The beautiful woman clearly did not expect that the power contained in Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship would be so strong. In an instant she felt her palm go numb and a majestic impact came. It caused her to take several steps back before she came to a stop. How is this possible? He's only a rank 6 true saint. How can he be so powerful? He's actually stronger than me? The beautiful woman's face was filled with disbelief. Chapter 32:11. Killing a person. The beautiful woman did not know that although Jian Wushuang was only a rank 6 true saint, he was a perfect chaotic creature with a high level of life. Even though he was only a rank 6 true saint, his divine power was still as powerful as many peak saints. Once he used the 7-star secret skill, the divine punishment god, and the 9 luminary star armor, his divine power would rise to the level of an invincible saint. Of course, the judgment power of an invincible saint was much stronger than that of a peak saint like this beautiful woman. Fei Xue, leave Suing to me. Go help Duanlang, Jian Wushuang said. This beautiful woman, Suing, was an extremely powerful peak saint. She was one of the experts that Qian Hongzi had told him about. Jian Wushuang could recognize her at a glance. Okay. Fei Xue was also charging toward the beautiful woman. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, she immediately turned around and headed toward the battlefield. Jian Wushuang relied on his divine power, which was stronger than her, and his swordsmanship to fight head-on with Suing. In a short period of time, he had the absolute advantage in terms of strength, Su Ying was obviously weaker than Jian Wushuang. The 6 from the Temporal Temple had already fought with the 5 from the Destruction Saint Realm. As for the 3 from the Purple Myrtle sect, they seized the opportunity to escape. They did not join hands with the Temporal Temple to fight against the 5 from the Destruction Saint Realm, so Jian Wushuang and the others were not surprised. The Purple Myrtle sect was only a relatively large force in the Second Heaven. They did not have the courage to challenge the Destruction Saint Realm. Even if the Destruction Saint Realm attacked them first, they would not dare to fight back until the critical moment. They still did not dare to fight back. At this moment, a pitch-black axe shadow suddenly condensed in the center of the battlefield. An unprecedented destructive aura also spread out from the axe shadow. The moment the axe shadow took shape, everyone on the battlefield was instantly attracted by the axe shadow. This axe, Jian Wushuang's pupils suddenly shrank. This axe shadow gave him a feeling that he could not block it. It was invincible. The surroundings of the Thunder God had already turned into a giant thunder prison. In this thunder prison he was the ruler. He controlled the power of millions of thunderbolts. In an instant, the endless power of thunderbolts gathered and formed a terrifying thunder beast. The thunder beast opened its mouth, wanting to swallow the axe shadow. But in the end, bang! The axe shadow split everything in front of it. That huge thunder beast was also split into 2 halves by this axe shadow. The mighty axe shadow descended, and even the Thunder God was unable to block it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. With a loud bang, the Thunder God's body was sent flying. It took a long time before he regained his balance. This axe. Di Hao. Thunder God's eyes flashed with a terrifying light as he stared at Di Hao. Then he looked at the other battlefields around him. On the other battlefields, the Temporal Temple had the absolute advantage. After all, the Temporal Temple had one more person than the Destruction Saint Realm. Moreover, in terms of quality, Di Hao was fighting against him. Chen Hongzi was fighting against another invincible saint of the Destruction Saint Realm. Both sides were evenly matched. The last invincible saint of the Destruction Saint Realm was entangled by Duan Lang and Fei Xue. Duan Lang used the Black Demon Realm and his battle strength barely reached the level of an invincible saint. Together with Fei Xue, he was not afraid of the invincible saint of the Saint Realm of Destruction. As for the remaining 2 peak saints of the Destruction Saint Realm, one was fighting with Yu Yu, who was suppressed by his tyrannical strength. The last one was the beautiful woman, Su Ying, who was fighting against Jian Wushuang. According to reason, the 2 people with the biggest gap in strength had been at a disadvantage in the battle between Su Ying and Jian Wushuang. The entire situation was obviously disadvantageous to the Destruction Saint Realm. Retreat. Thunder God had already recognized the situation in front of him. He did not want to continue fighting with the people of the Temporal Temple and directly gave the order to retreat. Immediately, the people of the Destruction Saint Realm used their means to get rid of their opponents and leave this place. You want to escape? It's not that easy. Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, Yu Yu, and Fei Xue were all trying to stop them. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly turned cold. It's not easy to attack the people from the Destruction Saint Realm. How can we let them escape so easily? At least 1 or 2 of them should stay. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with killing intent. He glanced at Su Ying, who had already turned around and was about to retreat, but his body swayed slightly. Jian Wushuang disappeared. At least in the perception of the surrounding people, he had completely disappeared. Su Ying was ready to meet up with the Thunder God. She was not slow and she was very close to the Thunder God. But suddenly, a cold sword light appeared out of thin air behind her and instantly pierced toward her heart. This sword light appeared too suddenly, and its speed was incredibly fast. Most importantly, there was not a single trace of power or movement, and it was completely silent. Su Ying did not have the time to react at all. Ah! A shrill scream suddenly sounded out from Su Ying's mouth. Su Ying lowered his head with great difficulty, only to discover that a blood-colored sharp sword had already pierced through her chest, and at the same time, it fused into the 3 drops of cold blood venom within the sword. It immediately began to work. Bzzz. Su Ying's divine body instantly collapsed. Not good. Junior sister Su Ying. The faces of Thunder God and the remaining 3 from the Destruction Saint Realm all changed drastically. They were preparing to leave this place, while the Temporal Temple was chasing after them. At this critical moment, Su Ying was actually caught up by them, and his divine body was directly destroyed. Although Su Ying's divine body had only collapsed, he had not died yet. One had to know that while his divine body was reassembling, he could not move. At this moment, the members of the Temporal Temple had already crazily pounced on Su Ying. Kill her. Haha, we can't escape, right? Qin Hongzi, Duan Lang Yu, and Fei Xue all attacked without hesitation. Su Ying's divine body had not had the time to reassemble before it was dealt a devastating blow. Even Thunder God and the others did not have the time to rescue him before they were directly killed. Damn it. Thunder God and the other three from the Destruction Saint Realm looked extremely upset when they saw this, but they could do nothing. Let's go. Thunder God shouted in a low voice, and the four of them rushed into the void in front of them. Jian Wushuang and the others did not chase after them. The huge battlefield quickly calmed down. Jian Wushuang stood there and looked at the void where Su Ying died, but his face was extremely cold, as expected of an expert from the three saint realms. His divine power is much more abundant than that of an ordinary peak saint. My blood mountain sword confused 3 drops of cold blood poison at the same time. These 3 drops of cold blood poison are enough to erode more than half of the divine power of an ordinary peak saint. Under normal circumstances, I can kill an ordinary peak saint with 2 strikes. As for Su Ying, I just noticed that he was defeated by my sword and only lost 30% of his divine power. Chapter 32:12, Heavenly Sword Marquis? 30%, less than 1/3. In other words, Jian Wushuang needed at least 3 or even 4 strikes to kill Su Ying. Fortunately, Qin Hongzi and the others had just swarmed over so they could kill Su Ying. Brother Heavenly Marquis, your shadowless escape skill is too terrifying. Su Ying is an extremely powerful peak saint, but she didn't have time to react before her divine body was destroyed by you. If you hadn't destroyed her divine body and left her behind, we would have watched the people from the Destruction Saint Realm escape, Yu said with a smile. This move is indeed abnormal. Even I have a headache facing this move, Qin Hongzi added. After killing Su Ying, everyone seemed to be quite happy. Everyone, is it okay for us to kill people from the Destruction Saint Realm? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. No problem. What can be wrong? Qin Hongzi smiled. It has been a long time since the Temporal Temple fought with the 3 Saint Realms. In the Blood Wave Realm, the Temporal Temple has killed people from the 3 Saint Realms. Similarly, the 3 Saint Realms have killed cultivators from the Temporal Temple here, so both sides are used to it. Temple Master Bai Xing has told us that we must not show mercy to people from the 3 Saint Realms. If we can kill them, we must not let them live. That's good. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, but he was quite happy. The Temporal Temple's actions meant that as long as he was capable, he could kill the people from the 3 Saint Realms without any scruples. However, the 3 Saint Realms have always been overbearing. We killed a peak saint from the Destruction Saint Realm right away, so the Destruction Saint Realm will probably hold a grudge against us. We must be careful when we travel in the Blood Wave Realm. Maybe the Destruction Saint Realm will plot against us, Qin Hongzi added. Yes. Everyone nodded in unison. The Purple Myrtle sect, for example, had joined hands to kill an expert from the Destruction Saint Realm during the opening of the Blood Wave Realm. The Destruction Saint Realm had taken revenge on the Purple Myrtle sect. During the opening of the Blood Wave Realm, they had taken revenge on the Purple Myrtle sect. Jian Wushuang and the others had killed an expert from the Destruction Saint Realm. It would be strange if the Destruction Saint Realm did not seek revenge. Just be careful. There's no need to be too afraid. There are only 10 experts from the Destruction Saint Realm and 2 on the True Saint list. Now that we've killed Su Ying, there are only 9 people from the Destruction Saint Realm left in the Blood Wave Realm. Even if all 9 of them join hands to kill us, we don't have to be afraid of them, Qin Hongzi added. Hearing this, everyone laughed. Indeed, the Temporal Temple seemed to only have 6 cultivators, but all of them were extremely powerful and their techniques were extremely brilliant. Especially Dihao. During the battle just now, everyone could see that he had the upper hand in the battle against Thunder God. With the 6 of them working together, even if they were to face the remaining 9 from the Destruction Saint Realm head-on, they would at least be able to protect themselves. Of course, there was no need to be too afraid. Let's go. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The 6 of them continued to move toward the core area of the Blood Wave Realm. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 4 figures stopped and their expressions were extremely ugly. She's dead. Junior sister Su Ying was killed. We just arrived at the Blood Wave Realm and we already lost 1 person. That damn Temporal Temple and that rank 6 true saint from the Temporal Temple deserved to die as well. If he hadn't destroyed junior sister Su Ying's divine body, she definitely wouldn't have died. Low roars spread out one after another. 3 of the 4 had ashen faces. They had seen Su Ying being killed just now, so there was nothing they could do. At that critical moment they really could not go and save her. That rank 6 true saint is indeed very strange, Thunder God said in a cold voice. He is only a rank 6 true saint, but he is able to fight with junior sister Su Ying. He even has a slight advantage. And what did he do in the end? Did you see how he defeated junior sister Su Ying's divine body? No. The other three shook their heads. They had been trying to get rid of their opponents and escape from the battlefield. They had not noticed Su Ying, so they had not seen how Jian Wushuang attacked. Who is he? When did such a genius appear in the temporal temple? Thunder God frowned and asked. He was a rank 6 true saint, yet he had the upper hand against a peak saint. Of course he was a genius. I think of someone, a silver-haired youth suddenly said. Who? Thunder God immediately looked over. Heavenly Sword Marquis. 300 years ago he killed a rank 7 true saint as a rank 4 true saint. His name is known throughout the divine beginning realm, the silver-haired youth said in a low voice. Although I've never seen the battle between Heavenly Sword Marquis and that rank 7 true saint, I've heard that Heavenly Sword Marquis specializes in the Tao of the sword. His comprehension of the principles of space and time is exactly the same as the rank 6 true saint we just saw. Heavenly Sword Marquis? Thunder God's gaze was cold. Regardless of whether this rank 6 true saint is the Heavenly Sword Marquis or not, the people of the Temporal Temple attacked us in the Blood Wave realm and even killed junior sister Su Ying. We can't let this matter go just like that. And that Di Hao, at the mention of Di Hao, Thunder God's expression sank. In their previous battle with the Temporal Temple, Thunder God had fought with Di Hao head-on. Logically speaking, Di Hao was ranked 8th on the True Saint rankings, while Thunder God was ranked 6th. Just based on the ranking alone, his strength should have been stronger. But in the real battle, Di Hao was obviously stronger than him. Especially that last axe, Thunder God was extremely shocked. That Di Hao's strength is much more terrifying than the introduction on the True Saint ranking. I'm sure he has the strength of the top 5 on the True Saint ranking. With him around, it's impossible for the 4 of us to take revenge on the Temporal Temple alone. We have no choice but to report this matter to the higher-ups of the Destruction Saint realm. Thunder God made up his mind. He immediately contacted the higher-ups of the Destruction Saint realm. Although the Blood Wave realm was extremely special in the Divine Beginning realm, the spacetime of the Blood Wave realm was not completely cut off from the outside world. In other words, it was still easy to get in contact with the outside world in the Blood Wave realm. 3 heavens inside a magnificent palace. Buzz, a hazy figure slowly condensed. This hazy figure was surprisingly the consciousness incarnation of the Thunder God. Chapter 32:13. Orders. Thunder God pays his respects to the Lord. Thunder God's consciousness avatar stood there and respectfully bowed to the person in front of him. It was a thin and frail old man dressed in a black robe with small eyes that looked like those of a mouse. This thin and frail old man's body was also suffused with a faint layer of green light, making him look like a green ghost. Thunder God, do you know why you have appeared here and met me? The thin old man looked down at Thunder God, his voice cold. I don't know. Thunder God shook his head. He indeed did not know. He had just reported what had happened in the Blood Wave realm to a manager of the Destruction Saint realm, the Principal's Master, and had also made his own guess. He had guessed that the rank 6 true saint of the Temporal Temple was Heavenly Sword Marquis. In the end, that Principal's Master had directly told him that Sky Nether Master wanted to see him. Sky Nether Master was a supreme existence in the Destruction Saint realm. If one were to put aside that Supreme Saint Realm Master, Sky Nether Master's power in the Destruction Saint realm could definitely be ranked in the top 3. Normally, Thunder God did not even have the right to meet such a supreme existence. But now Sky Nether Master came to find him. I'm looking for you because of Heavenly Sword Marquis. Sky Nether Master's voice was cold. You said that one of the 6 immortal saints who entered the Blood Wave realm is Heavenly Sword Marquis? That's just my guess. I can't be sure, Thunder God said. There's a mirror image here. It was left by Heavenly Sword Marquis when he fought with a rank 7 true saint when he was a rank 4 true saint. See if it's him. Sky Nether Master waved his hand. Immediately, a huge mirror image appeared in the hall. In the mirror image, it was Jian Wushuang fighting with the rank 7 true saint by Yuan of the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Thunder God only took a glance at the mirror image and instantly confirmed it. It's him. The rank 6 true saint of the Temporal Temple is him. Although there are some slight changes in his appearance, the sword in his hand, the sword technique he used, and even his appearance and temperament are all exactly the same. In addition to the ability he displayed in the Blood Wave realm, there is absolutely no one else in the Divine Beginning realm who can think like this. It's fine as long as it's him. Sky Nether Master nodded slightly and ordered, "You wait here for a moment." After saying that, Sky Nether Master's figure flashed and disappeared. In another palace, this palace appeared rather simple and crude. However, no matter how simple it was, it could not conceal the dignity of the person at the top of the palace. The Sky Nether Master from before was currently standing below the palace with incomparable respect. He did not even dare to raise his head to look directly at the person above. Heavenly Sword Marquis, has he gone to the temporal temple? A cold and emotionless voice was emitted from the figure above. Yes, he has already reached the rank 6 true saint and his battle strength is comparable to a peak saint, Sky Nether Master said seriously. Peak saint battle strength? As expected, his improvement is still so fast. He is indeed worthy of being chosen by that old fellow. The figure smiled indifferently. Following that, he fell silent for a long while before speaking again. The Blood Wave realm is too special. Since Heavenly Sword Marquis is staying in the Blood Wave realm, even the Heavenly Tao cannot do anything to him. It is impossible to send an expert above the Principal's Master to kill him. After all, even I cannot force my way into that place. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. As for waiting for Heavenly Sword Marquis to come out of the Blood Wave realm before attacking. He's now a member of the Temporal Temple. Once he comes out of the Blood Wave realm, the Temporal Temple will definitely have experts to assist him. At that time, he will inevitably have a head-on battle with the Temporal Temple. And the Temporal Temple is not to be trifled with. Heavenly Nether Master listened respectfully from below but did not dare to say anything. The Temporal Temple was one of the 3 freedom alliances of the Divine Beginning Realm. Although the 3 Saint Realms dared to fight with the Temporal Temple, no matter how fierce the fight was, it was still a fight. And to directly start a war, even the 3 Saint Realms had to carefully consider it and did not dare to take such a risk. There's nothing we can do. The best way to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis is to kill him in the Blood Wave realm. There should be many outstanding fellows in the Blood Wave realm during the era when I destroyed the Saint Realms, right? The figure asked. There are. As in the past, there are 10 outstanding little fellows in my era of destruction. The strongest one is a little fellow called Thunder God. However, Thunder God has already met with the people from the Temporal Temple and suffered a loss. It's not realistic for these little fellows from my era of destruction to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis in a head-on collision with the Temporal Temple, Sky Nether Master said. If it's not enough for me to destroy the Saint Realm, don't we still have the Life and Death Saint Realm and the Flame Saint Realm? Go, tell those little fellows who destroyed the Saint Realm to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis at all costs in the Blood Wave realm. I will also inform the Life and Death Saint Realm and the Flame Saint Realm, and they will also attack with all their strength. In short, the little fellows of the 3 Saint Realms have only one purpose in the Blood Wave realm, and that is to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis. As for the opportunities in the Blood Wave realm, tell them that as long as they can kill Heavenly Sword Marquis, I guarantee that all of them can become Principal's Masters, the figure said indifferently. Yes. Sky Nether Master immediately turned around and left. In the void space of the Blood Wave realm, Thunder God and the other 3 were gathered here. At this moment, their faces were filled with shock. He actually wants us to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis at all costs? The silver-haired youth widened his eyes. How can this be? Although Heavenly Sword Marquis is extremely talented and has unlimited potential, he is still just an immortal saint. How can he make me, the higher-ups of the Destruction Saint Realm, take him so seriously? I don't understand either. Thunder God said seriously. However, this order was passed down from the mouth of the Nether Sky Master. The Nether Sky Master seems to have received an order from the Saint Master. The Saint Master even said that if we can kill Heavenly Sword Marquis, he will guarantee that each of us will become the Principal's Masters. The silver-haired youth and the other 2 were stunned. The Saint Master had personally given the order? No matter what, since Sky Nether Master said it, it can't be false. In other words, our main mission in the Blood Wave realm isn't to fight for the Blood Wave token, but to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis instead of obtaining the opportunity in the Blood Wave Palace. Not only us, but the other 2 Saint Realms seem to have received the same order. We 3 Saint Realms must kill Heavenly Sword Marquis this time. Chapter 32:14. Everything was ready in the calm void. Thunder God and the other 3 stood there, waiting quietly. Not long after, 5 figures rushed over from the void in front of them. The leader was a muscular brown-haired middle-aged man. Thunder God, I heard that you guys suffered a great loss at the hands of the Temporal Temple? The brown-haired middle-aged man appeared in front of Thunder God. Yes, Junior sister Su Ying also died at the hands of the temporal temple. Thunder God nodded slightly. Let's cut to the chase. Wan Xian, you should have received the order from Sky Nether Master, right? Wan Xian was ranked 17th on the True Saint list. Just like Thunder God, Wan Xian also came from the Destruction Saint Realm. The Destruction Saint Realm was one of the 3 great Saint Realms after all. It had overwhelming power and countless experts. Every time they entered the Blood Wave Realm, Destruction Saint Realm had a total of 10 spots. This time, Destruction Saint Realm had a total of 10 peak saints entering the Blood Wave Realm. However, these 10 immortal saints were split into 2 teams. One team was led by Thunder God, and the other team was led by Wan Xian. I've already received an order from the Sky Nether Master. He wants us to work together and kill a cultivator called Heavenly Sword Marquis in the Temporal Temple at all costs. But I still don't understand. Where did that Heavenly Sword Marquis get the ability to make the Sky Nether Master give such an order? Wan Xian said with a frown. I don't know the reason, but since the order has been given, we naturally have to do our best to complete it. Heavenly Sword Marquis must die, Thunder God said. If you want to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis, you have to face those people from the Temporal Temple. Are you confident? Wan Xian asked. Including Heavenly Sword Marquis, there are a total of 6 people from the Temporal Temple who entered the Blood Wave Realm this time. Among them there are 2 invincible saints. 2 of them are not invincible saints, but their combat strength is not much weaker than ordinary invincible saints. The last 2 are also extremely powerful peak saints. Among these 6 people, the strongest is Di Hao. This Di Hao, I fought with him before. To be honest, his strength is a little stronger than mine, Thunder God said. Di Hao is stronger than you? Wan Xian was stunned. Thunder God was ranked 6th on the True Saint ranking. How could he be inferior to Di Hao? We don't have absolute confidence to kill Heavenly Sword Marquis by joining hands with the Temporal Temple. After all, the people of the Temporal Temple are not fools. They know that they can't defeat him and can escape. With their attainments in space-time, it will be difficult for us to stop them. Thunder God's voice was cold, but it doesn't matter. I've already asked someone to come and help. Let's wait here for now. Once they arrive, we'll have a high chance of success. Wan Xian nodded slightly, and the group continued to wait in the void. After waiting for 4 hours, another 5 figures finally flew over from the void. Haha, Thunder God, Wan Xian, long time no see. Hearty laughter rang out. The one who spoke was the leader of the 5, a sloppy girl. This girl looked very thin and weak. She looked like she could be blown down by the wind, but her personality was very forthright. Wuxia, we've been waiting for you for a long time. Thunder God looked at this sloppy girl. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Wuxia, ranked 24th on the True Saint rank, came from the Illusory Moon Sky sect. I've already sent a message to you. What do you think? Thunder God asked. I've already rushed here personally. What do you think? The sloppy girl, Wuxia, glanced at Thunder God. That's good. With the help of your Heavenly Phantom sect, this matter is almost certain. Also, Taoist Bing, did you bring your array formation with you? Thunder God looked at a strange old man behind Wuxia. Hearing Thunder God's words, the strange old man lifted his head, revealing his white teeth. Don't worry. In terms of power, my Taoist Bing isn't as strong as you guys. However, in terms of formations, there aren't many immortal saints in the Divine Beginning realm who are stronger than me. At that time, you guys can just watch. Once my formation is activated, I guarantee that no one in the Temporal Temple can escape. However, my formation can only seal space and time, but it can't completely seal a space and time. And I've heard that one of the most powerful space-time divine arts of the Temporal Temple cannot even affect space-time seal when used. If someone in the Temporal Temple has mastered that move, then I can't do anything about it. Taoist Bing, you're talking about space-time teleportation, right? Wan Xian looked over. I've heard from my master that this move is indeed a great life-saving method. It's even more terrifying than teleportation. Unless space-time is completely sealed, no one can stop him from leaving. However, the space-time divine art is an extremely transcendent divine art. Even in the Temporal Temple, there are pitifully few who can comprehend the space-time divine art. Moreover, those who have cultivated the space-time divine art can only master the first and second styles. As for the third style of space-time teleportation, as far as I know, even the principles masters find it hard to master it. There are so many cultivators who are good at the space-time principles in the Temporal Temple, but there are less than 10 people who have mastered the space-time teleportation, and almost all of them have reached the principles master. And the 6 people we're going to deal with this time are only immortal saints. It's impossible for anyone to master this move. Wan Xin was very confident. He had heard it from his master. The truth was similar to what Wan Xin had said. The space-time divine art of the temporal temple was too difficult to master. The first and second styles were fine, but there were still some people in the temporal temple who had comprehended it. However, the third move, there were only a handful of people in the temporal temple who could master the third move, space-time teleportation. Unfortunately, what Wan Xin did not know was that Jian Wushuang was one of the people who had mastered space-time teleportation. Everything is ready. Now we just need to find the location of those people in the temporal temple, Wuxia said. On this point, Sky Nether Master has already ordered those forces that are on the same side as our 3 great saint realms to search. Moreover, they're going to do it quietly. We will definitely not alert them. We just need to wait here for the news, Thunder God said. The group of people waited in the void for another 2 days. Finally, there is news. We have found out the location of the 6 people from the temporal temple. We will set off immediately, Thunder God said. Instantly, 9 people from the 2 squads of Destruction Saint Realm and 5 people from the Fantasy Moon Sky sect set off toward the location of the 6 people from the temporal temple. Among the 14 people, there were 6 unrivaled true saints, and the remaining 8 were all powerful peak saints who were quite famous in the Divine Beginning realm. There were also Thunder God, Wan Xin, and Wuxia, the 3 top experts on the true saint list, and Jinren Bing, who was an expert in formations. This lineup could be described with one word: terrifying. Chapter 32:15. Ambush in the vast void of the Blood Wave realm. Jian Wushuang and the other 3 slowly moved forward. Along the way, except for the first collision with the Saint Realm of Destruction, they encountered many experts, but they did not fight each other. According to our speed, we will arrive at the center of the Blood Wave realm in half a day. There are many experts there, and all the top immortal saints who enter the Blood Wave realm will gather there. Before the Blood Wave token is born, there will be a period of peace. During this period, many immortal saints will spar with each other and challenge each other, especially the experts on the true saint list. Many people will fight to challenge them. Dihao, when you fought with Thunder God previously, you clearly had the upper hand. In terms of strength, you should be able to rank in the top 5 of the true saint ranking. When you reach the central region, don't you want to challenge those who are ranked in the top 5 of the true saint ranking? Qin Hongzi looked at Dihao with interest. The central region of the Blood Wave realm had too many experts gathered. Naturally, all kinds of challenges became very frequent. There's no rush. If there's a chance, they'll take action. Dihao said coldly. These words caused Qin Hongzi's brows to furrow. It was very clear that Dihao also wanted to fight for a spot on the true saint rankings. Moreover, he indeed had the strength to do so. Qin Hongzi, you're an unrivaled true saint after all. Moreover, your strength isn't ordinary. Don't you want to get a spot on the true saint rankings? Even if you're ranked last, you can still be famous throughout the world, right? You teased. Everyone on the true saint list is a monster. I don't have the ability to challenge them. Qin Hongzi shook his head. The 6 people were talking casually as they flew. The atmosphere was good. At this moment? Well, is there someone? Qin Hongzi suddenly raised his head. Jian Wushuang had also seen 5 figures standing in the void in front of him. 5 people. The leader is Wuxia of the Illusory Moon sect. Qin Hongzi's eyes focused. Wuxia. Jian Wushuang immediately recalled the information he had read about Wuxia. Wuxia was ranked 24th on the True Saint list. He used a long whip as a weapon and had a strange whip technique. He had once easily defeated 2 invincible saints by himself. Although he is ranked 24th and is considered to be at the bottom of the True Saint list, as long as he is ranked on the True Saint list, he will be extremely powerful, Jian Wushuang thought. They are coming, Qin Hongzi said. Jian Wushuang immediately saw that Wuxia and the other 3 were already rushing toward him. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang and the other 3 immediately stopped, but they did not retreat. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. After all, the Temporal Temple did not have any conflict with the Illusory Moon sect. Moreover, the 5 members of the Illusory Moon sect were obviously much weaker than the Temporal Temple. Naturally, the Temporal Temple did not fear them. Wuxia, what are you doing? Dihao's voice was cold as he looked at Wuxia and the others. Nothing. I just came to say hello to everyone from the Temporal Temple. Wuxia gave a strange smile. As she spoke, her eyes moved slightly. She looked at Jian Wushuang and the others. After a while, her eyes were completely focused on Jian Wushuang. If I'm not mistaken, that's Heavenly Sword Marquis, who was famous in the Divine Beginning world 300 years ago, right? Wuxia asked. It's me. Jian Wushuang nodded and did not deny his identity. Thanks. 300 years ago, you were able to kill a rank 7 true saint with a rank 4 true saint realm. Now that you've reached the rank 6 true saint realm, you actually dare to wander in the Bloodwave realm. You really have guts, Wuxia praised. Wuxia, if you have anything to say, just say it. If you have nothing to say, then don't block our way. Qian Hongzi said in a low voice. Of course. Well, leave immediately. As Wuxia said this, her body also seemed to be about to retreat. However, as she retreated, a fierce light flashed in her eyes. Attack. With the word attack, Taoist Master Bing, who had long since prepared behind Wuxia, immediately took out a round plate. Buzz, a majestic energy wave burst out from the disc. In an instant, a huge cyan magic array swept out in all directions, covering the entire space and time. In the blink of an eye, the space and time where Jian Wushuang and the others were sealed. Space and time sealed? Magic formation? No. Jian Wushuang and the others' expressions changed. Wuxia, are you courting death? Dihao's voice was cold. Courting death? I'm afraid we won't be the ones to die. Wuxia sneered. As his laughter fell, several figures rushed over from both sides of the void and appeared beside Wuxia in an instant. Seeing these figures, Dihao, Chen Hongzi, Jian Wushuang, and the others all had ugly expressions on their faces. Thunder God. Saint Destruction Realm. They were the people from the Saint Destruction Realm led by Thunder God and Wan Xian. Together with Wuxia and the other 5 experts from the Illusionary Moon Sect, a total of 14 experts appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and the others. Everyone from the Temporal Temple, we meet again. Thunder God's body was covered with dark purple thunderbolts, and an endless violent aura spread out. His cold eyes also swept over Jian Wushuang and the others. That person is Heavenly Sword Marquis, right? Wan Xian stared at Jian Wushuang with a sinister smile. I'm quite curious about him to be able to make Heavenly Sword Marquis Master give such an order. He's going to be a dead man soon. What's there to be curious about? Thunder God smiled. The two of them talked to each other without paying any attention to the 6 people from the Temporal Temple. The 6 people from the Temporal Temple were looking at each other with serious expressions. There are 14 immortal saints in total, including 6 invincible saints and 8 peak saints. Thunder God, Wan Xian, and Wuxia are experts on the True Saint list. We're in big trouble. I knew that the Destruction Saint realm wouldn't let this go so easily. It seems like it's true. The gap in strength is so big. What should we do? What can we do? The spacetime has been completely sealed, and the array used to seal the spacetime is extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even Dihao might not be able to break the spacetime seal with his full strength. We have no choice but to fight. With the strength of the 6 of us, even if the Destruction Saint realm and the Illusionary Moon Sky Sect join hands, it won't be so easy to take us down. Yes. The 6 of them looked at each other and reached an agreement. Everyone. At this moment, Jian Wushuang suddenly spoke. Dihao, Chen Hongzi, and the others immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold as he said, "Kill Moxn first." Dihao and the others were stunned, but they immediately understood. Chapter 32:16, The Ultimate Axe Attack. Kill? Dihao, Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, Yu Feishue, and Jian Wushuang all attacked. Haha, the people of the Temporal Temple really overestimated themselves. The people of the Destruction Saint realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect laughed. Leave the Heavenly Sword Marquis to me. I'll go kill him. Wuxia smiled indifferently. Wan Xian, let's join hands and teach Dihao a lesson. Thunder God said. He did not dare to say that he would kill Dihao directly. After all, the Invincible Saint was very difficult to deal with if he risked his life. On the True Saint list, only the top 3 had killed the Invincible Saint alone. Dihao was so powerful that he was ranked in the top 5 on the True Saint list. They did not dare to leave him here. It was already good enough to teach Dihao a lesson. The people from both sides moved together and soon collided. Heavenly Sword Marquis die. Wuxia let out a strange howl. She easily passed through the crowd and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang like a ghost. Then she swung the long jade-green whip in her hand like a jade-green flood dragon, her agile body directly lashed toward Jian Wushuang. She was so fast and powerful that the sound of air cracking could be heard when the whip passed through the void. Dihao, Chen Hongzi, and the others had already fought with their opponents, so no one could help Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had to face Wuxia alone. An expert on the True Saint list. Jian Wushuang's face was solemn. At the moment the battle broke out, he had already used the 7-star secret skill, the divine punishment skill, and the 9 luminary star armor. His battle strength had reached its peak. When the jade-green whip lashed toward him, his body surged with majestic divine power. It was the peerless sword technique Shixiang. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Whoosh. The most powerful sword move of Jian Wushuang's sword technique swept out. The scarlet sword shadow collided with the green whip. With a crisp sound, a terrifying power swept over. The Blood Mountain sword almost fell out of his hand, but Wuxia twisted his wrist casually. Swish, swish. 2 more whips swept toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang could only barely swing his sword to block them. Bang, bang. Another 2 crisp sounds rang out. The first whip directly defeated Jian Wushuang's sword style. At the same time, the whip hit Jian Wushuang's body directly, severely injuring his divine body in an instant. His body also retreated rapidly, and the second whip continued to attack without any hindrance. It directly shattered Jian Wushuang's divine body. Bust. Jian Wushuang's divine body quickly regenerated. He stood in the void and looked at Wuxia in shock. So powerful. Is this the battle strength of the true saint list? Jian Wushuang's heart was in turmoil. He knew that he was not weak. When he used his full strength, he could barely fight against an ordinary invincible saint. However, when he fought with Wuxia only casually waved 3 whips. The first whip directly crushed him in terms of power. The second whip heavily injured him, and the third whip caused his divine body to collapse on the spot. The gap was too big. Moreover, Wuxia was only ranked 24th on the True Saint list, and he was still at the bottom. One could imagine how strong Dihao, Thunder God, and the other top 3 on the True Saint list were. How strong were the 3 experts who could kill the invincible saint? As soon as Jian Wushuang's divine body was reconstituted, Wuxia had already attacked again. But at this moment, a terrifying power suddenly burst out from the center of the battlefield. At this moment, the world around them darkened. The world was dark as if it had fallen into a void space. Even the sound had completely disappeared. On the battlefield, many experts from both camps looked in the same direction in shock. At that spot, in the middle of the darkness, a cold figure stood there. In his hand was a huge axe. That huge axe was 2 meters long. At this moment, this huge axe was slowly swinging downwards. The process of swinging the huge axe shocked everyone present. This axe. Jian Wushuang also looked at the axe in astonishment. He could sense an extremely terrifying power from this axe. Most importantly, he also sensed the power of the destruction and spacetime laws. This axe technique contains both the principles of destruction and the principles of spacetime? 2 principles at the same time? How is this possible? The principles are fused? Everyone was stunned. Even Thunder God and Wan Xian were trembling. One had to know that this terrifying axe was aimed at them. Be careful. Thunder God let out a shrill cry, and endless thunderbolts covered his body. Wan Xian's aura also soared. The 2 of them were going all out at this moment. However, when that axe was swung down, everywhere it passed, it was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. When the axe shadow missed, everything fell into silence. Boom, boom. 2 extremely miserable figures shot out from the center of the battlefield like cannonballs. These 2 people were surprisingly the Thunder God and Wan Xian, who was fighting against Dihao. However, at this moment both of their bodies were trembling slightly. During the collision just now, one of their divine bodies had collapsed by nearly 40%. The other had collapsed by nearly 70%. After all, this was the battle between the 2 of them when they joined hands to resist that axe. In the end, their divine bodies had collapsed by so much. If they were to face that axe alone, their divine bodies would probably completely collapse. Dihao. Thunder God's eyes flickered with a fierce light, and his heart was also in a state of extreme shock. However, suddenly, the figure of Dihao, who had used an earth-shaking axe attack and sent Thunder God and Wan Xian flying at the same time, suddenly swayed and strangely appeared beside a silver-haired old man on the battlefield. The huge axe in his hand also directly fell down. What? The silver-haired old man was a peak saint of the Destruction Holy Region. He had been working together with others to deal with Yu. Although he had noticed the battle between Dihao and Thunder God, he did not dare to get involved, but he never thought that Dihao would take the initiative to find him. Boom. Although the mighty axe was not as terrifying as the earth-shaking axe, its power was strong enough to make a peak saint despair. At the very least, the silver-haired old man did not have the ability to resist. Bang. With a loud sound, the silver-haired old man's divine body instantly collapsed. Moreover, the giant axe contained a vast destructive power, which instantly destroyed more than half of the silver-haired old man's divine power. Chapter 32:17. Disappeared without a trace. My divine power has been reduced by 70%. After the silver-haired old man's divine body was reassembled, he was terrified. Fortunately, Di Hao only attacked him once and was immediately entangled by the Thunder God and Wan Xian. Otherwise, Di Hao would have killed him with just one more blow. I only have 30% of my divine power left. My divine body can only be reassembled once more. If I meet Di Hao or other invincible saints attacking me again, I will definitely die. I cannot interfere in this battle anymore. I will retreat to the outside of the battlefield first. The silver-haired old man had already made up his mind. However, just as he was about to move, a figure appeared behind the silver-haired old man without any warning. This is... The silver-haired old man's pupils constricted. He had already sensed it. But sensing it did not mean that he would be able to react in time. A soundless sword light instantly pierced through the void, then directly pierced through the silver-haired old man's divine body. The silver-haired old man's eyes were wide open, and there was still shock and disbelief in his eyes. However, the remaining 30% of his divine power had already been completely corroded by the cold blood poison. Even before he died, the silver-haired old man still could not figure out why the Temporal Temple wanted to kill him first when there were 14 cultivators from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Sky sect present. Moreover, it was very obvious that they had planned it. They had made him their first target to kill. With doubts in his heart, the silver-haired old man finally died. Junior brother Moxin. The people of the Destruction Saint Realm were shocked to see this scene. At the same time, they also saw the figure that appeared in the void where the silver-haired old man was. It was Jianghu Shuang. Its heavenly sword Marquis. When did he go there? The people from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon sect were stunned. At the same time they all looked at Wuxia. But at this moment Wuxia was also puzzled. What did this kid do? Wuxia frowned. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. She was indeed fighting with Jianghu Shuang just now, and she had completely crushed Jianghu Shuang and destroyed his divine body. But when Di Hao used that shocking axe and everyone was attracted by it, Jianghu Shuang disappeared right in front of her eyes. Yes, he disappeared right in front of her eyes. When Wuxia realized what had happened, she did not know where Jianghu Shuang had gone. It was not until Jianghu Shuang flashed and killed Moxin that she knew his real location. Now that Moxin is dead, the next thing will be easier. Jianghu Shuang stood in the void where the silver-haired elder Moxin was and looked around the battlefield, but a cold smile appeared on his face. Destruction Saint Realm, Illusion Moon Sect, didn't you want to kill me? Now I want to see who will kill who. Jianghu Shuang's voice was cold, it reverberated between heaven and earth. As soon as his voice fell, the endless power of ice and fire suddenly swept up and spread in all directions at a terrifying speed. In the blink of an eye, the entire battlefield was covered by this power of ice and fire. Then, the people from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Sky sect who were in the domain of ice and fire instantly sensed a majestic pressure from the domain of ice and fire. This pressure was like a huge mountain weighing hundreds of millions of kilograms that was pressing down on them. Everyone felt heavy. This is a domain? What a terrifying domain. I, an invincible saint, feel a huge pressure in this domain. My strength has been reduced by at least 20%. A supreme treasure, this is definitely a domain-type supreme treasure. Heavenly Sword Marquis has a domain-type supreme treasure? Everyone looked at Jianghu Shuang with shock and greed. True treasures were extremely precious. Even rule masters valued them and would fight for them. If a domain-type true treasure was added to the list, it was enough to drive principal's masters crazy. They obviously did not expect Jianghu Shuang to have such a treasure. Even Di Hao and Chen Hongzi of the Spacetime Temple did not expect this. Brother Heavenly Marquis, he has a domain-type supreme treasure. It was useless when he fought with me. Duan Lang had a complicated look on his face. At this moment, Jianghu Shuang, who was in the center of the ice and fire domain, had become the focus of the battlefield. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly disappeared. It's the same move again. Wuxia's pupils constricted. The experts from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect immediately spread their soul power, trying to find Jianghu Shuang's location. But in the end, he can't be found? No, he doesn't exist in my soul perception. Where did Heavenly Sword Marquis go? The experts from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect were puzzled. Suddenly, a cold sword light pierced into the divine body of a woman in green. Her divine body collapsed at once, and 40% of it was consumed by the cold blood poison, then her divine body reassembled again. Be careful. Heavenly Sword Marquis is hiding around us and trying to assassinate us. His sneak attack is very terrifying. I just barely sensed his presence, but I didn't have time to attack, the woman in green shouted. The woman in green was from the Illusory Moon Sect and was a very powerful peak saint. However, she was silently defeated by Jian Wushuang. Everyone from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Sect was shocked by this scene. Ah! A scream suddenly sounded. This time it was a peak saint from the Destruction Saint Realm. His divine body was also pierced by Jian Wushuang's sword. Although he did not die on the spot, his divine power was instantly consumed by more than 50%. Two more sounds sounded. This time it was from the Destruction Saint Realm. The divine bodies of two peak saints had been destroyed once. This strange assassination technique caused the people from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Sect to panic. Damn it, where is he hiding? Strange, his concealment technique is too strange. It's so strange that even our soul senses can't sense it. Now I finally know why the Temporal Temple decided to kill Junior Brother Moxin at all costs. Junior Brother Moxin is the only one among us who specializes in the soul. His soul senses are much stronger than all of us. With him around, we can definitely sense the position of the Heavenly Sword Marquis. But now that Junior Brother Moxin is dead, the rest of us can't find the Heavenly Sword Marquis at all. He is hiding around us and ambushing us time and time again. We can't do anything to him. Chapter 32:18. Retreat, what should we do? Everyone from the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect was shocked and furious, but there was nothing they could do. They could not sense Jian Wushuang's location at all. Although I have only cultivated the shadowless escape skill created by the Blood Blade Master to the initial success stage, no one can sense my existence unless he is a soul expert at the peak of the Saint Realm or above. The only soul expert in the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect, Moxin, has been killed. The rest of them cannot sense my existence at all. They can only become my living targets. Jian Wushuang hid in the void, but his eyes were full of killing intent. With his strength, the use of shadowless evasive technique, together with the Sword of No Breath, can absolutely have a fatal threat to the Peak Saint. Of course, the powerful Peak Saints present could barely sense it when he attacked, just like when Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang fought. Before Duan Lang used the Black Demon Realm, and barely withstood Jian Wushuang's attack. However, when Jian Wushuang fought Duan Lang, he did not use his full strength and he did not use his realm at that time. Now that the Icefire Realm was suppressing the experts of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Sect, it was very difficult for them to block Jian Wushuang's attack. Jian Wushuang appeared behind the Peak Saints on the battlefield and then used his killing moves again and again. The Peak Saints could hardly react in time. Jian Wushuang had launched 9 sneak attacks and destroyed the divine bodies of 6 Peak Saints. 3 of them had been destroyed twice. Among the 3 Peak Saints whose divine bodies had been destroyed twice was the one who had used the magic formation, Immortal Bing. My divine body has been destroyed twice, and I have less than 30% of my divine power left. If Heavenly Sword Marquis attacks me again, I will definitely die. Immortal Bing was completely panicked. Run. Wuxia, protect me. Immortal Bing did not dare to do anything. He ran out of the battlefield crazily. While running, he also needed Wuxia to escort him, afraid that Jian Wushuang would catch up. He was not the only one. The Peak Saints of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect also started to run away. They had been beaten up by Jian Wushuang's sneak attack. Thunder God and Wan Xian stood in the middle of the battlefield and looked at the surroundings. They did not know what to do. Alas. After a long while, Thunder God sighed, I didn't expect Heavenly Sword Marquis to have such a terrifying escape skill. He is hiding in the surrounding void. We can't do anything to him and it's impossible to kill him. Instead, our people have become his living targets. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Let's retreat, Thunder God said. Then he, Wan Xian, and the other invincible saints of the Destruction Saint Realm protected those Peak Saints and rushed toward the distant void. Soon, the people of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect completely disappeared from Jian Wushuang's sight. Jian Wushuang slowly appeared in the void until the people of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusionary Moon Sect left. Di Hao, Chen Hongzi, Duan Lang, and the others immediately came over to greet him. Everyone, are you okay? Jian Wushuang looked around at the people around him. I'm fine. Fortunately, they were scared away by your escape art. Otherwise, Chen Hongzi did not continue. Indeed, the difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Moreover, the surrounding space and time were completely sealed, so it was difficult for them to escape. In such a situation, if Jian Wushuang's shadowless escape art and the breathless sword art were not used, the people from the Destruction Saint Realm of Destruction and the Illusory Moon sect had been intimidated. If they continued to kill, some of the 6 people from the Temporal Temple would definitely die, and not just one. It's a pity that my escape skill and sword skill can only threaten a peak saint. Moreover, I have to sneak attack a peak saint at least 3 or 4 times before I can kill him. Although I attacked as fast as I could, I didn't really kill one of them. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful. He had launched 9 sneak attacks and achieved great results. However, except for Moxin in the beginning, he did not really kill the second peak saint. The main reason was that the other party retreated quickly and did not give him a chance. In any case, it's already good enough that we didn't injure them and force them to retreat. Chen Hongzi sighed, and then he looked at Jian Wushuang. Brother Heavenly Marquis, from the looks of the Destruction Saint Realm and the Illusory Moon Heaven sect, it seems that they are here for you. Did you have some enmity with the Destruction Saint Realm before? Di Hao, Duan Lang, and the others also looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded and admitted, not only the Destruction Saint Realm, but I also have a huge enmity with the 3 Saint Realms, and it's the kind that will not rest until one of us is dead. What? Chen Hongzi and the others were shocked. One person had provoked the 3 Saint Realms at the same time, and it was the kind that would not rest until one of them was dead? What kind of ability was that? After their surprise, they fell silent again. They were in the Blood Wave Realm together with Jian Wushuang. The grudge between Jian Wushuang and the 3 Saint Realms was so big that the 3 Saint Realms would definitely come to find trouble, just like the assassination just now. Obviously, if they continued to stay with Jian Wushuang, they would be more or less implicated. Jian Wushuang knew this, so he directly admitted it, giving the 5 people of the Temporal Temple a chance to choose for themselves. Jian Wushuang was waiting for the 5 people in front of him to decide whether to separate from him or to continue to move with him regardless of the consequences. After a long while, Duan Lang was the first to raise his head and smile indifferently. So what if there are 3 Saint Realms? The Temporal Temple has clashed with the 3 Saint Realms countless times over the years. What's there to be afraid of? Yes, the 3 Saint Realms can only scare ordinary forces. It's still far from scaring the Temporal Temple, Chen Hongzi added. Humph, we don't have many experts, but the reason why our Temporal Temple is still one of the 3 Freedom Alliances in the Divine Beginning Realm is that we are united. If the 3 Saint Realms want to kill the Heavenly Marquis brothers, they have to go through us, Yu snorted. Of course I'll go with you, Fei Shui also smiled. In a short while, 4 out of 5 people expressed their opinions. They were all willing to continue adventuring with Jian Wushuang and were not afraid of being implicated by Jian Wushuang. Only Di Hao, who was the strongest, remained silent. Chapter 32:19, Fusion of Principles. Di Hao, what do you think? Chen Hongzi looked at Di Hao. I don't care. Di Hao was still very cold. For him, it was not much different from whether he moved with Jian Wushuang or not. Because no matter what kind of attack it was, even if all the experts of the 3 Saint Realms came at the same time, they could not really threaten him. After all, his strength was there. For example, even though the Destruction Saint Realm had trapped everyone in the Temporal Temple with a magic formation, neither Thunder God nor Wan Xian had thought of leaving Di Hao behind. At most, they just wanted to teach Di Hao a lesson, but in the end they were taught a lesson by Di Hao. With his strength, it was almost impossible to kill Di Hao in the Blood Wave Realm. Even if he met Light King, who was ranked first on the True Saint list, even if Di Hao could not defeat him, he could at least survive. Thank you, everyone. Jian Wushuang looked at the 5 people around him gratefully. In fact, he did not have much friendship with these 5 people. They just belonged to the same faction of the Temporal Temple. However, just as Palace Master Bai Xing had said when he first entered the Temporal Temple, although there were not many experts in the Temporal Temple, they were extremely united. Indeed, the Temporal Temple was very united. Just from the current situation, Di Hao and the other 3 people did not abandon him even though they knew that the 3 Saint Realms had a feud with him and would probably kill him at all costs. It was obvious. 5 of you, since you are willing to continue exploring the Blood Wave Realm with me, there is something I must tell you in advance, Jian Wushuang said seriously. What is it? Chen Hongzi and the other 3 Saint Realm experts looked at him. The 5 of you are not aware of the grudge between me and the 3 Saint Realm experts. It is not convenient for me to tell you about it before. But I can tell you that the grudge is so great that as long as I am still in the Bloodwave realm, the 3 Saint Realm experts will go crazy and kill me. They will even ignore the opportunities in the Bloodwave realm. That is not the main thing. At the critical moment, the 3 Saint Realm experts might pay a great price to invite some experts to help them. In other words, we might encounter a situation that is 10 times more difficult or even 100 times more difficult than before. So, you must remember that if it really comes to that, I will ask you to run away. At that time, don't hesitate and just run as I say. Don't pay attention to me, Jian Wushuang said seriously. Ignore you? What are you going to do? Duan Lang frowned. Don't worry. I told you this in advance to tell you that I have my own life-saving means. No matter how powerful the 3 Saint Realms are, I'm confident that I can leave. But if you stay, it will only make me more worried, Jian Wushuang said. Is that so? Qin Hongzi raised his eyebrows. Brother Heavenly Marquis, do you really have a powerful life-saving skill? Duan Lang glanced at Jian Wushuang. Yes, I can swear it, Jian Wushuang said with certainty. He was not lying. He had a life-saving skill which was time-space teleportation. Once time-space teleportation was used, no one could stop him unless there was a top expert who could use time-space imprisonment. There were only a dozen or so people in the Divine Beginning realm who was qualified to use time-space imprisonment. All of them were top principles masters, and only the Immortal Saint was qualified to enter the Bloodwave realm. Of course, no one could use this move. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Therefore, he did have a 100% chance of survival. After hearing Jian Wushuang's affirmative answer, everyone nodded. Oh, Dihao. Jian Wushuang suddenly looked at Dihao. If I'm not mistaken, the axe you just performed contains both the destruction and space-time principles. How could you use both principles at the same time? Could it be that you've already merged the 2 principles? Qin Hongzi, Duan Lang Yu, and Fei Xue also looked at Dihao immediately. They had also seen Dihao's shocking axe attack, which had forced Thunder God and Wan Xin back with heavy injuries. It had shocked everyone, especially the 2 principles contained in the axe attack. After all, it was impossible to use different principles at the same time. For example, Jian Wushuang had comprehended space-time principles and reincarnation principles at the same time. However, he could not use the 2 principles in one move at the same time. Therefore, he usually used the rules to perform his swordsmanship, while the reincarnation principles. Most of the time he used the Samsara sword formation. One was swordsmanship and the other was a sword formation. The 2 did not interfere with each other. However, Dihao had completely merged the 2 principles of destruction and spacetime into one principle. In such a situation, only experts who had merged the 2 principles could do it. Merge the principles? How is that possible? Dihao shook his head directly. From what I know, the fusion of 2 different principles is an extremely difficult process even for principles masters. Out of 100 principles masters, it is extremely difficult for one to fuse 2 different principles. Those who are able to do so are definitely peak existences amongst principles masters. I am merely an immortal saint. How can I be qualified to do many things that principles masters are unable to do? The reason why I was able to use 2 different laws into one axe is that I once cultivated a unique secret technique. In addition, my giant axe has been specially refined. It can only be used when the principles of destruction and spacetime are superimposed. If the 2 principles are combined together, the power of the 2 principles would be less than 1/10 of the power of the 2 principles. Hearing Dihao's words, Jian Wushuang immediately understood and was even more shocked. Dihao's axe is so powerful just by combining the 2 principles. How powerful would it be if it could combine the 2 principles perfectly? Jian Wushuang could not help thinking. It's too difficult to perfectly merge the 2 different principles. Even the principles master is having a hard time. As for the Immortal Saint, as far as I know, there's only one person in the Divine Beginning realm who can perfectly merge the 2 principles at the Immortal Saint realm, and that's the number 1 on the True Saint list, Light King. Dihao's face was solemn. The Radiant King has perfectly fused the principles of light and wind together. His comprehension of these 2 principles has reached perfection, and he is only 1 step away from mastering them completely. In addition, he also has extremely high attainments in the aspect of the soul. In other words, he is studying the principles of light, wind, and soul at the same time. He is simply a huge monster. Chapter 32:20, Central Region Light King? Even Jian Wushuang could not help exclaiming in his heart when he heard the name. With his current strength, Any invincible saint could easily suppress him, and an expert like Wuxia, who was ranked on the true saint list, could easily crush him. As for Light King, he was number 1 on the true saint list, the most powerful immortal saint in this era. He was indeed far from the Light King. To be able to combine the two principles at the immortal saint realm and cultivate the soul at the same time, the Light King is really amazing, Jianghu thought. Well, let's continue. Soon, the 6 of them continued to fly toward the center of the Blood Wave realm. In the void not far from the battlefield, the people from the Destruction Saint realm and the Illusionary Moon sect gathered there, their faces extremely ugly. Thunder God, I'm sorry. Under such circumstances we can only leave, Wuxia said seriously. I understand. Thunder God nodded without any intention of blaming him. It was true that the Illusory Moon sect had retreated first, but he also knew that they had to leave at that critical moment. Although there were 5 people in the Illusory Moon sect, Wuxia was the only invincible saint and the other 4 were only peak saints. The 4 peak saints had no ability to resist Jianghu at all. In just a short moment, their divine bodies had been destroyed, and the divine body of the Ice Master had been destroyed twice. If they did not run away and continue to stand, none of the 4 peak saints would survive. Moreover, the main purpose of this assassination was to kill Jianghu. However, with Jianghu's escape skill they could not kill him, so they had to leave. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis is not very strong and any invincible saint can easily suppress him, his escape art is too terrifying. Thunder God, if you want to attack him, you must find a way to restrict his escape art. Otherwise no one can kill him. As for us, we will leave first, Wuxia said. Thank you, Thunder God said, and watched the 5 people of the Illusory Moon sect leave. After the people of the Illusionary Moon sect left, Thunder God immediately contacted the higher-ups of the Destruction Saint realm. In the Grand Hall. Failed? The eyes of Sky Nether Master flashed with coldness as he stared at Thunder God's consciousness incarnation. Yes, everything was expected. I didn't expect that Heavenly Sword Marquis to have mastered an extremely strange escape technique. He can escape the soul detection of the invincible saint. He can hide in the dark and assassinate us time and time again, but we can only watch helplessly. We have no choice but to retreat temporarily, Thunder God said. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Escape art? What kind of escape art can hide from your soul detection? Do you have a mirror image of him performing the escape art? The Nether Sky Master asked. Yes. Thunder God waved his hand, and a mirror image immediately appeared in the hall. This mirror image was the scene of Jianghu performing the shadowless escape art and ambushing the peak saints time and time again. Nether Sky Master's pupils shrank after looking at it for a while. Even the soul of the invincible saint couldn't detect it. This escape art should be the shadowless escape art of the Blood Blade Master, Nether Sky Master said in a low voice. I didn't expect that Heavenly Sword Marquis had mastered the famous means of the Blood Blade Master. No wonder you couldn't do anything to him. Blood Blade Master? Thunder God was puzzled. Many years ago, an extremely terrifying existence was a top-notch assassin. At that time, his assassination methods were so terrifying that even I felt a little scared when facing his assassination methods, Sky Nether Master said. Hearing this, Thunder God was greatly shocked. He knew very well what kind of supreme existence Sky Nether Master was. He stood at the top among the Principal's masters. However, he himself admitted that the assassination methods of Blood Blade Master were extremely terrifying. From this, one could imagine how powerful the assassination methods of the Blood Blade Master were. This Heavenly Sword Marquis is only at the level of a true saint, and he is only a rank 6 true saint. Even if he has mastered the shadowless escape technique, he has only just entered the rudiments. I'm afraid that he hasn't even reached the initial stage. As long as it is a peak saint who specializes in the soul, he should be able to sense his position with just the rudiments of the shadowless escape technique, said Sky Nether Master. Among all the saints we went to kill, Junior Brother Moxin is the only one who specializes in the soul. Unfortunately, he was killed by Heavenly Sword Marquis and How from the very beginning. That's why the following scene happened, Thunder God said. I understand. You can go, Sky Nether Master said. Lord Sky Nether, that Heavenly Sword Marquis, Thunder God frowned. I have my own plans. Just wait for my news in the Blood Wave realm. Before I send you a message, don't act rashly, and don't go looking for trouble with Heavenly Sword Marquis. Sky Nether Master said. Yes. Thunder God responded, and his consciousness avatar quickly disappeared. Blood Wave realm. After traveling continuously, the 6 people of the Temporal Temple finally arrived at the central area of the Blood Wave realm. Once they reached the center, there were obviously more experts. Countless peak saints gathered in the Blood Wave realm. They would arrive at the center as soon as possible and wait for the birth of the Blood Wave token. Jian Wushuang and the others came early, but even so, there were still many people waiting in the center. Jian Wushuang and the others found a random place in the center and stopped. Many experts nearby had noticed their presence. These 6 people should be from the Temporal Temple, right? Yes, they are from the Temporal Temple. The leader of them is the cold man with a giant axe on his back. He is Di Hao, ranked 8th on the True Saint list. I heard that Di Hao is very powerful. Apart from Di Hao, Chen Hongzi, Yu Yu and Fei Shui are also quite famous. I've never heard of the other 2. Many experts were secretly discussing. Among the 6 people of the Temporal Temple, Di Hao was the most famous, followed by Chen Hongzi, Yu Yu and Fei Shui. As for Jian Wushuang and Duan Lang, they were not very famous. Jian Wushuang only attracted people's attention because he emitted the aura of a rank 6 true saint. At this moment, whoosh, a figure suddenly shot out from the void not far away and stopped in front of the 6 people of the Temporal Temple. The person who came was a young man wearing a blood-red robe and carrying a blood-red battle saber on his back. His entire person looked extremely demonic. The eyes of this demonic man flickered with a trace of blood-red light. After arriving, he directly looked toward Di Hao. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.